Listen up, I gotta tell you, there is something you should know. I have never really liked you at all. I cannot hide it anymore. I've been thinking about the future, trying to forget about the past. So many ways that I could change for the better. Don't
is a true crime discussions channel. We speculate. This is all just speculation. Because it's true crime, it's for mature audiences only. There will be no children allowed, no exceptions. Everything on this channel falls under fair use. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It's free.
Hey y'all, it's good to see you today. Thank you so much for being here. I've got a few things I want to talk to you guys about regarding Delphi. I do need to find all of my stuff that I had sent. Excuse me. So let me say hey to y'all real quick. There we go. Hey, Chaz, Edith, Natasha, Abellis, Liddy, Cara, Hio, Bad Girl, Abellis. I hope your birthday was good. Ali X, Pisces, Irene, Carolina, Jennifer. Good to see you. Good to see you. Snaggle Mama. All things serious. I saw you in here earlier. Miss Sarah, good to see you. Pisces, I don't know if I said you yet. Hazel Eyes, good to see you. Good to see you. Thank you all for being here. So I have got a few things to show you guys. First, we're going to talk about some a couple of documents I have, and then we'll watch a video while I gather the rest of my screenshots. So I just wanted to show you kind of like what we're dealing with here. First of all, these documents are from As the Gavel Drops Discord. I have pinned them to the top of the comments section, and they are also linked in the description box, and you can also find them on YouTube. They have a YouTube channel, and that is linked in the description box as well. They have been able to get some of the documents, some of the evidence from Delphi. So I wanted to talk to you guys about a couple of these documents real quick. First, we're going to look at this one. Hold on just a minute. Okay, so this is no. Thank you. No. Stop it. Stop it right now. Stop it. Oh my gosh. Like for real now. Stop. I'm not even playing anymore. Okay. Don't be stupid. This is Affidavit by Toby Lesenby. But I want to highlight number 4 right here, which is not going to let me do. Number 4 says that afterwards, the defendant was moved to the White County Jail due to overcrowding, not pursuant to a safekeeping order. That November 2nd, 2022, I filed a request by the sheriff of Carroll County to transfer inmate from the custody of the sheriff to the custody of the Indiana Department of Corrections for safekeeping. Okay, so the main thing I noticed here was that afterwards, the defendant was moved to White County Jail due to overcrowding, not pursuant to a safekeeping order. Okay, now let me pull this up. I'm just wanted to show these to you real quick, and then we're gonna watch some other short videos that have been put out about new information regarding the Ron Logan confession that I made a video about a while back. I don't know why you want to do that. I wish you would stop. Okay. So it says, this one says, and it's, as you saw, the bottom of that one said evidence, states exhibit number 5. This is states exhibit number 2. So these are actual states exhibits. And again, they're on As the Gavel Drops Discord, linked at the top of the chat box. The defendant has been charged with said high-profile case or cause. It is felt by the undersigned potential safety and security concerns exist involving not only the defendant, but also jail facilities in Carroll and White counties within the state of Indiana. Because the aforementioned reasons, as sheriff of Carroll County, Indiana, I cannot provide the services, attentions, or supervisions necessary to protect or meet the defendant's needs to ensure, protect, and guarantee the safety or security of the defendant, staff, or facilities. So that is a order moving him for safekeeping, but we just saw that the other order said that he was moved due to overcrowding, not safekeeping, which is ridiculous. I mean, it's just, again, more documents that show that this is all just a bunch of games, in my opinion, to the judge, Miss Gull. And then this is the most important one that I think y'all are gonna find real interesting. Okay, this is State's Exhibit number 6. I'm gonna read this whole paper. It says, the court, having had this matter under advisement following a hearing and having considered the evidence and the arguments of counsel, now finds as follows. 1. The defendant is currently in the Westville Correctional Facility under a, quote, safekeeping order issued November 3rd, 2022. The court order states that the court finds that the defendant is an inmate awaiting trial and is in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death, or represents a substantial threat to the safety of others. 3. This is most important. I mean, I think we're all going to find this a little hilarious. The evidence presented at the hearing on the defendant's motion to reconsider did not support many of the allegations advanced by defendant's counsel. In fact, the evidence presented demonstrated that the defendant is treated more favorably than other inmates housed at Westville Correctional Facility. Y'all have heard how that man was treated at Westville Correctional Facility. And you got the nerve to tell me that that man was treated more favorably than other inmates? If that's the case, I have a grave concern for other inmates at that facility. I'm genuinely concerned, like with every fiber of my being, about Richard Allen and everyone else at that facility. But I do have good news. You just have to give me a second because I had to send it to myself. Right? Can we get a, where is it?
Get a bullshit, a bullshit, a bullshit, a bullshit.
Right? That is insane to me. So, the good news, I think this one says it, but yes. So the good news is that he has been moved out of Westville. And now Richard Allen is in Pendleton Correctional Facility. So I am going to work on seeing what we can do as far as trying to send letters or anything like that to any of you that want to. Hey, YouTube, good to see you. We need the one that says "Gull shit." Right? I can't believe, oh my God, he was found guilty because he wasn't allowed to bring anything to help. Right, Meemaw Sandy, and it's good to see you. Abellis, oh my goodness. Thank you so much for gifting 20 memberships. I really appreciate that. That was so very sweet of you. You're so sweet and supportive and amazing. That went to Jen Mack, April from Illinois, Cupcakes and Cameos. All right. Finally learnt how. I like that name. Tainted Docket. I like that name. Kathleen, We Got Shite. Melodrama. Andrea, Kells. It's Meow or Never. Gloria. Bunny Murphy. Gerald. Graham. Angel of Light. Voices Behind the Wall. Annabelle. And Jiggy and Natasha were gifted. If you guys were gifted a membership from Abellis, please tell her thank you, and I will grab the crazy train and come pick y'all up on the way to Speculation Station.
I'm going off the rails on a crazy train.
Sorry, I was getting a sip of my coffee. Thank you, Abellis. That was so sweet of you. Natasha, yay! Aliax said, this case is scary because it could happen to any of us. It absolutely could happen to any of us, and that does make it really scary. Okay, so do you guys, while I get this pulled up, do you guys know about Ron Logan's confession and the document and story behind how he confessed supposedly to a former person he was locked up with? That's going to be important for what we're going to dive into next. Let me know if you guys know about that or not, because if not, I've got a video reading over that document I can speed up and play for us real quick. So everybody seems to know about that. Okay. Hey, Malibu Surf. Natasha said, "Oh, thank you so much, Abellis. Choo choo. This is like the third time you've blessed me. I'm in here alone. Thanks, love. Oh, that was so sweet." Okay, so yes, YouTube, you're right. Motions to compel were not granted. And by the way, fuck goal. I'm with you. I am with you. So yes, the motions to compel were denied by goal. And I'm curious about that because I thought they had to have a different judge for appeals and things like that. From what I was told, from what I understood. I'm with you. If SubRosa comes in here, SubRosa feels like Richard Allen is guilty, and SubRosa, I sometimes let SubRosa get away with talking a little bit of crap here and there. So if SubRosa comes in, we all just got to respect SubRosa, but if he gets out of line, I will handle it. But I just want to let y'all know. Okay, so no doubt I'm with you. The PD was not even trying. Nope. Rachel said Gold wouldn't even preserve the evidence. Nope. They're going to destroy it, y'all. Like, I'm real concerned. Okay, so we're going to go back to Ron Logan and his confessions, okay? Oh, wait a minute. I have something else to show y'all as far as the state evidence goes. So we'll watch this video real quick because I have these and we'll look at these real quick. Then we'll talk about the other.
Tonight at 6, we're seeing photos from the Delphi murders crime
Hold
scene.
on just
These
a minute.
pictures shared publicly by the state.
So I am going to give you a trigger warning. Let me get my banner up because we'll watch it on the video. And then I also have the pictures as well, because as the Gavel Drops Discord has them. And again, if you want them for yourself or any other documents, please check them out. They're pinned at the comment section. Let me make sure this is up. All right. So this is also released, and I'll show you the pictures from As the Gavel Drops Discord that I have. Real quick, Snaggle Mama said, from what I gather, they're getting everything in record before it goes to appeal. Appeal may kick it back to gold, though. I hope not. You're okay, YouTube. You're good. We're pretty open here. As long as you respect others' opinions, we're pretty cool here as far as your thoughts, opinions, and speculations. I like to hear everybody's thoughts, opinions, and speculations because you never know when you could change somebody's mind or make them feel a different way. Hunter's Moon said, right, what's the difference between Logan's confession versus Richard Allen's confession? You know what? That's a good question. Because technically, I mean, I would say that Richard Allen was under duress and on a lot of medications when he confessed. But you do have a good valid point there, and that is a good question to ask. Even though, I unequivocally feel like Richard Allen is innocent. That is a great point because they are pretty much the same. So why should we believe Ron Logan's confession over Richard Allen's, especially considering how we got it? And we're going to talk more into that. But that was a good point, Hunter's Moon. Does anyone know if Bond and Ali Mata are attempting to help in this case? I saw some things from Mata. And I think they are attempting to help. All right, so this is going to be a trigger warning. This is going to be blood on some leaves from the crime scene. Hey, Jenny Peach.
Tonight at 6, we're seeing photos from the Delphi murders crime scene. These pictures shared publicly by the state of Indiana just this week.
Here's a close-up of Libby German's cell phone under the leaves there. And on that phone, the video of, quote, Bridge Guy from February 13th of 2017.
We want to bring in Samantha Johnson, who's been covering this.
I thought it was blood. It might have been the cell phone. I might have seen it wrong. Rachel, thank you for coming, said Logan had more information about the crime. We need to deep dive that and correlate. We need to correlate the confessions and see who had more information. That would be a good stream to do one day. And thank you for saying that, Rachel. Jennifer, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate that. Jennifer Hoff is giving us Richard Allen's DOC number. He's at Pendleton Correctional Facility, and there's the address. She said, I have Ricci Davis's too. Thank you for sharing that. If you guys want to write him or need that information, there it is. And thank you so much for the support. That was so very sweet of you. I really appreciate that. Anders said there were rumors circulated that Superintendent Douglas Carter was going to climb up on the witness stand, pull down his trousers, and show his manhood from behind. Oh my goodness. In my opinion, if I recall correctly, the DA was up for re-election when they arrested Richard Allen. Getting the arrest on Richard Allen that got him reelected. Yes, that is true from what I heard. WeGob has been a member for 1 month. Thank you so much for being a member. WeGob said hello, everyone, and thank you for the gifted membership. That was so sweet. Abellis did that. Okay, so we'll play this new segment, and I'll show you guys the photos that I have. It might have been different. I'm not sure.
In this case, why are we seeing these pictures today?
Yeah, so you'll remember last month, the defense team filed what they called a motion to correct errors. They gave us several examples and reasons why they felt like Richard Allen's conviction should have been overturned, and that included some conflicting arguments about the cell phone that you saw in those photos. We can tell you now the Carroll County prosecutor has filed his response.
Richard Allen is serving 130 years in prison for the deaths of Abby Williams and Libby German. In January, Allen's attorney said it was a mistake. The trial excluded an alleged confession by a man named Ron Logan, who detailed how he killed the two girls. But Carroll County prosecutor Nick McLeland says the man who allegedly heard that confession and told police failed a polygraph miserably, and many of the details are directly contradicted by the evidence. Former prosecutor and defense attorney Brad Banks.
And they're saying the confession was made to another person who panned out to be completely unreliable.
Allen spent most of his time before.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, I tied it to the top of the light thing up there and was having it hang down when I had the bird egg in the sink I was trying to keep warm.
Yeah, I'm trying to warm up my water.
Oh, okay. Well, just make sure it don't burn anything. Sorry, y'all. We're talking about a heat lamp. We have no water right now. Thought process. Okay. Jail confession. You know, they say that people who are in jail and incarcerated and confess are usually unreliable anyway. So, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that that's their argument. Jenny Peach said, Judge Gull should be removed from this case. I have the strongest opinion of her, and it's not good. I agree. Hello, Bazard. It's good to see you. Hold on, and I'll give you the link. In my opinion, says Tracy, Richard Allen is innocent. Mine as well, Tracy. Okay.
For trial at the Westville Correctional Facility, a placement his attorneys say was, quote, plainly illegal from start to finish. They say it impacted Allen's mental health and the outcome of the trial. The state now responding, saying, quote, the motion for safekeeping does not impact the ability to have a fair trial and is not a reason to overturn the verdict.
Look, this guy's in custody. He's not being given a bond. We're just talking about where can we keep him safely. And so that doesn't trigger your right to counsel.
The state also shared these evidence photos.
Hey, Bazard, how are you doing today? All right. I'm going to play the video. Let me know when you want to talk.
Of Libby's cell phone found at the crime scene. They say the pictures support their theory that water or dirt could have impacted the phone. But the defense claims that's not the case. They say someone activated it after Libby's phone.
Can you hear
Hey,
me?
Bazard, how are you? Yeah, I can hear you now.
I'm good. I didn't get a new phone, I think.
Oh, do you? You're cutting in and out a little bit,
Might need more.
but hopefully it'll work.
Ooh. Oh, can you hear me now?
A little bit better,
It
yeah.
could be where I'm at.
Uh-huh.
It's probably where I'm at. I'll mute, and then I should be in a better spot to where it should not be acting up.
Okay, you had it good right there. I don't know where you were at just then, but okay.
Okay.
Reportedly stopped moving. So now the state urging the judge to reject Allen's request for a hearing or to overturn the verdict, writing, quote, the defense is not permitted to request a new trial to change strategy when their chosen path fails.
So many details there. So glad that you're familiar with this case and can sort it out for us. So great job with that. I guess the big question is now, what happens next?
Yeah, so you heard from Brad Banks in that story there. He expects the judge to deny that motion, and he also expects that to happen pretty quickly. We're talking about days, if even that long. And he says when that does happen, it'll essentially restart the appeal process for Richard Allen's attorneys, which we do expect will happen at some point. They would have 30 days at that point to file a notice of appeal. So a lot to keep track of, a lot of deadlines, but of course we'll keep you updated.
All right, thank you.
Rebecca says it's very important for the defense to get everything they can on record because appeals court will see it. And that's a good point. And I think that's a lot of what they're doing and what's going on right now. Let me show you the pictures that I have from As the Gavel Drops Discord. Hold on. Oh, did I not send them to myself? Nope. Hold on. I'll get them sent over while we talk about this guy who supposedly said Ron Logan confessed. So, I hate when it does this. First, yeah, we can play this first. This is Ron Logan's ex-girlfriend talking about him. And she says some things that are absolutely heartbreaking. So we'll listen to get an idea.
Connie Dillman joins me now live. Connie,
who Ron Logan is before we listen to this.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Confession. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is Ron Logan's ex-girlfriend, and we're going to listen to her about how he was and get some, basically, an idea of who Ron Logan was as a person before we hear about the this confession and what's going on with that.
Connie Dillman joins me now live. Connie, thank you so much for joining me as a guest tonight. I want to go back to the comment that you made that as soon as you saw the video and heard about Bridge Guy, you knew it was Ron Logan. Tell me why.
I know the way he walks. You know, I just had an intuition, you know, when I heard, you know, that they were murdered. It's just, you know, he finally did. You know, it don't go away, no matter how long ago it was. You know, I had a very volatile relationship with him. It's hard to get away from him. You know, he talked to me, and you know, he was very aggressive and abusive and manipulative, and you know, it's not something I really want to relive, but I just know his nature. I know his property. You know, it's just I'm just going with my gut feelings. Just the kind of person he is. You know, he manipulated a lot of people. He manipulated my family, and it was hard to get away from him. And just it's really hard.
Can I ask you, did he ever have any interest in young girls? Did he show any predilection towards young girls when you were his girlfriend?
Oh my gosh.
Yes. He sold a horse to...
I wanted to pause this real quick. When she talks about how he manipulated her family, that makes me feel like he made her family think that she was the one causing issues and that she was the one who was like maybe a little mean or crazy or whatever the excuse may be. And I just feel really bad for her on that aspect of it. It really sucks when you're in an abusive relationship and then your family doesn't believe you over like they believe the other person over you, and you know, your family, your blood, is not even on your side. They're on the side of the person who's abusing you, which sucks.
That's very normal, unfortunately.
Yeah. Unfortunately. Jennifer shared Ricci Davis's information. Thank you for that. The only issue with Ron Logan being Bridge Guy is that Bridge Guy isn't wearing glasses. That's a good point.
Well, I don't know how, I mean, like we always keep saying, that video was edited, so how could anyone really see any other facial features? I mean, you can tell it's a older-ish looking man, but it's like, okay, but that can't, that would be saying, okay, Richard Allen was an older guy at the time, but then there's thousands of other guys in the town that are older or around that same age. So how did it,
Yeah.
fall down to Richard Allen,
Yeah, that picture was AI generated, and if they put glasses on it, I mean, I wonder how much it would have looked like Ron Logan. And even if he did have glasses, considering it's AI generated, like they might have taken them off to make Richard Allen look more guilty, because in my opinion, it was a frame up job to begin with. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, yeah, same in my ballpark. I just don't know how. Okay, if you had Ron Logan saying he was, well, I'm trying to remember. Did Ron Logan say he was there at the time that the girls were murdered, or he was just saying because they were on his property that? I'm trying to remember if he placed himself in that time frame too, because I know there was other people on the bridge, well, other men on the bridge too. So how was it that they just felt that it was Richard Allen in the end when there was other men, I believe, that already stated they were at the time frame when the murders happened, allegedly?
They tied his car or something, and they said that witnesses picked him out of a lot, or like basically, I think they said picked him out. I'm not sure, or his correlation to Bridge Guy. I don't remember exactly what everything was. I have Ron Logan's confession, and maybe we should go back over that through the document. And I think I have it labeled.
Well, because I
So
remember, because he did admit like, oh, I didn't do anything or something like that, and it was like no one even asked him if he did anything, from what I remembered.
okay, yeah. It was a lot more likely, in my opinion, that Ron Logan was Bridge Guy, but maybe y'all can tell me what the nail in the coffin was for Richard Allen. I think it was just that he admitted he was there that day, and they made the timeline match up. And of course, the sheriff was up for re-election, and his arrest of Richard Allen, a lot of people say, is what got him re-elected. They said no one ever identifies Richard Allen as Bridge Guy. I think it was just because he put himself there. And then once he got in jail, all these other things happened. But we do need to listen to Ron Logan's confession again.
For real. Well, I wasn't saying also the gun casing, but then again, I mean, I kept arguing, and I don't remember. It's been a minute, so the trial happened. But I thought his defense was trying to say, like, well, how could they remotely say that was his bullet casing when they didn't even find it until it was what, a week or something later?
I think it was 13 days later, they found it at a 45-degree angle, and they compared a spent casing to an unspent casing, which was like apples to oranges. I remember that.
Yeah, and it was just the casing and him admitting that he was around the time frame at the bridge, but that was it. That's all they had. There was no other, honestly, nothing.
Yep, and they found that shell casing in like a memory box. They said a shell casing that they compared to the one they found at the crime scene and said that it matched, but one was spent and one was not. Oh, you're welcome, Ober.
Yep.
Yeah, so after we listen to this, I'll play his confession again, because we do need to freshen up on that before we talk about Ricci Davis, the person who said that he confessed.
Two girl didn't live too far from there, and she was 13 actually. And he was touchy with her, and she'd bring her horse, ride her horse over and stuff. And I just thought that was appropriate. But I think I know we've gotten fights over that. It's like, oh, I ain't hurt nothing. I'm just trying to help her out, and I don't know. It
Now, her audio is cutting in and out. I wanted y'all to know that that's not me. That's them.
It just didn't feel right with me.
I don't think so.
And what about telling the police about all of this? Like when you saw the video, heard about...
Veronica, I don't think he took a lie detector test, but I know the FBI got mad and was pretty much put off of, like, told to leave Carroll County because they thought Ron Logan did it and not Richard Allen. I do remember that. I think the bullet was placed there, Angie, and it's good to see you. Oh, we lost
That Bridge Guy, got that sinking feeling that that bridge guy was your ex-boyfriend, Ron Logan. Did you tell the police?
I did. I called in. I called in 3 or 4 times, actually. I called in before I even seen the picture that's showing right now. And I know the way he walks, and I know he's built, and to me, that it looked exactly like him. I mean, even when I seen the voice, it sounded just like him.
What was the reaction from the police? How did they receive your information?
Actually, when I called in the tip line, I didn't get a call back. So I reached out to our local sheriff's department, and actually, they came here. They heard my story, and they were in touch with the Indiana State Police. The Indiana State Police asked them to bring me in if I didn't have a ride. I told them that I could take myself there, and I did. I met with them that very same day, and that was actually March 3rd. It was on a Friday. And then on March 6th is when they brought him in and questioned him. And actually, before they even did probation violation.
Her audio is so bad, and I'm sorry. What? Hey, Kimmy C123. By who?
It was an obstruction of justice, is what they had brought him in on.
Oh,
and it was because he's a felon and he had guns.
Girl, I was about to get mad. I thought somebody was talking crap. I was like, they about to stream snipe me. I'm gonna stream snipe them and talk crap. Okay, that's fine. It's true crime addict. Okay, you're good. I was like, what?
So
hey, toxic.
I think that's what you need to know that too.
One other question for you. This inmate says that Ron Logan confessed to him while they were jailed together. You know Ron Logan before he died. Is he the kind of person that would have confessed something this terrible to a fellow inmate, both incarcerated together?
I think, once you're off of alcohol, you dry out a little bit, you can get a guilty. He needed somebody to talk to. I think probably even broke from that, and maybe he trusted that guy. He wasn't going to be out of prison for quite a while. So
do you think it's possible that he could have confessed? Hunter's Moon said, I think the bullet was already there from somebody hunting. Lots of guys carry handguns during hunting. It was actually in the dirt, not just laying on the ground, I heard. Yep, in the dirt at a 45-degree angle. And then Anders said, yes, him placing himself there was the only thing they had on him. Toolmark comparison is crap science. All of the witnesses contradicted each other. The sketches showed two different people. Yep.
A young guy.
Sorry, Bazard, go ahead.
No, yeah, it's my connection was acting up earlier. No, I was gonna say, yeah, it was like what Andrew was mentioning. It was two different sketches, a young guy and an older guy.
Mm-hmm.
Even the older guy didn't even look like Ron. I mean, it looked like kind of someone else. So there's just so much weirdness. And then, like you said, the eyewitnesses, the one that kept saying she saw a bloody man coming out of the woods. And then it was like, well, he wasn't bloody. Maybe he had dirt on him or something.
Yeah, muddy. Mm-hmm. Bunch of craziness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what did he have to lose? He's 7 years old. He was bragging. Even the scenes and stuff where he took news media too. I mean, I think he was showing him exactly what he did. Where it happened. I mean, it's eerie to me. I think it's eerie to everybody just the way he explained it. It's calm and cool.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation.
Okay. Well, I'll grab my video real quick because I think I've got it labeled where I read the actual confession. Carolina said, question, what would an innocent man why would an innocent goodness gracious, would an innocent man confess as far as Richard Allen 61 times? That's always put me in a place that maybe he did commit the murders. I think his confessions were under duress. He was being shot up with Halidol at the time, and I think the prison guards and the prison itself was basically taunting him and making him confess. Evidently, they paraded him around on a dog leash or something, and he was barking like a dog. Like a lot of a lot of really questionable things were happening at that time.
And he initially denied it. They never really showed the prosecution, never really showed the initial police interview where he vehemently, I can't even say the word today, vehemently denied that he committed anything, and he was showing anger and disgust. And you know, you can say, well, maybe he was acting. Well, he did a better job whenever they show those videos. He did a better job, supposedly, compared to, like, let's say Stinky or Jen, when it came to supposedly acting emotional and all this other kind of bullshit. So, I mean, that's just my take on, like, if they ever do show that, let's see the initial interactions, and then I wonder why they won't show the ones where he's in the prison. I've seen videos where they show people in prisons getting interrogated and other stuff like that. Why won't they show it this one for him when he allegedly confessed?
Because he was eating his own feces at that point, and just it was a whole freaking thing, and they don't want them to see that because they know that people will think that it was a false confession, like it was, in my opinion. Cara said allegedly the prison guards who wore Odinist patches threatened his family if he didn't confess. Yep, that was what was being said. There's the whole Odinist aspect. We talked about that a lot. If Allen hadn't said he was there that day, why would he even call and say that if he was the killer? Right. And they tried to use reverse psychology like, oh, well, you confessed and said you were there that day because you want us to think that you would be the type to just come up and be like, oh, yeah, I was there, because who would think a killer would do that? Well, we're too smart. We know that you would do that and you're the killer. Basically, a bunch of nonsense. Jennifer said, yeah, he would confess during duress and threats and promises to see his wife guilting him for making Kathy go through this and etc. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, they, for whatever reason, didn't want to count in the trial the confessions where he was saying he killed people that obviously were still alive. So it's like, well, you can forget about that. Don't worry what he said about those. But our main concern is the girls. So why would we still trust why would I trust a word of a man who said that he killed 2 girls, but then also said he killed his grandchildren and other people, and he did other weird stuff? And it's like, well, don't worry about that. We're only concerned about one specific thing.
Yep. He obviously doesn't have grandchildren. He said he killed his whole family. Like, there was so much involved with that. It was just ridiculous. Jennifer said during interrogations, he said, quote, I didn't kill 2 little girls. His words about them were telling and affectionate. Killers wouldn't say 2 little girls because they wouldn't see them as 2 little girls. Right. Angie said they told him what he wanted to hear. They said what he thought they wanted to hear.
Yeah.
I'm going to put this on 1.25. This is the actual confession part, and we'll listen to this. This is from a video I put out a little while ago. Number 2, Ron Logan's confession to Ricci Davis before May 15th, 2017 is newly discovered evidence entitling Mr. Allen to a new trial. Dr. Core was the forensic pathologist who conducted the autopsies of Liberty German and Abigail Williams. His original opinion held for years about how Liberty German and Abigail Williams died was that 2 weapons were used, one serrated blade and the other straight-edged blade. For the first time at trial, having had a urethra.
I want to provide a very heavy trigger warning. We're about to get into some things that are hard to hear.
This is the actual confession. Hard as they are to decipher and subject to the debate and correction, those notes reveal the following about Ron Logan's confession to Ricci Davis. Page 1 of Exhibit 4B is reproduced below. You can see the handwriting of the note. It seems to say, walking, talking, and knowing one of their dads to walk with them. One of them wanted to turn around, grab youngest shoulder. It's okay. Oldest freaked out. One said something about calling police. Sexual attack wasn't true. Originally not trying to go rape them. Paranoid about probation. Felt like he crossed the line when he grabbed youngest one. The top half of page 2, Exhibit 4B, is reproduced below. The bottom half of the page duplicates the top half, and you can see the handwriting. It seems to say he started talking, ironic, should have been in school, knew one of their moms, waitress at a bar, animals, walked with them, willing to go check out horses. He XXX. He told them he had rabbits in barn, walked through trail in woods. Oldest paranoid, didn't want to go. Youngest wanted to see horses. Oh my goodness. The top half of page 3 of Exhibit 4B is reproduced below. You can see the handwriting. You guys tell me if you see something different than what it seems to say. Hold on, let me make it where you guys can see it. It seems to say oldest turned to help youngest. Oldest started looking or kicking. Youngest seemed possibly. He now grabs oldest. He said he got hit on the nose, scared he got blood on one of the girls. Pulled box cutter out and slit oldest one, hit an artery. Youngest scared, etc. Took little girl with him for a while, never said where. He said he cut her to cut both necks. Oh my goodness. We're on page 18. Yes. The bottom half of page 3 of Exhibit 4B is reproduced below. It seems to say, Jennifer Hoff said, hit the thumbs up for our girl, and this awesome channel. Thank you so much for that. That was so very sweet of you. Thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate that. That was so sweet. Rachel said the girls also had animal hair on them that was never tested. Yep. There was 72 hairs, I believe, found at the crime scene that have not been tested still to this day.
Interesting. Makes you wonder why.
Yeah, me too. I think it's because they know exactly. I mean, again, it's just it's all these things compounded that leave us with so many questions.
But it always somehow leads to Richard Allen when it's like, well, it's just the gun casing and the confessions. That's it. No blood evidence. None of his DNA. None of his hair.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I mean, to me, even if, like, let's say, I'm not going to get into it with anyone else, like you mentioned, that would probably have a different viewpoint. But my viewpoint would be like, well, in most murder cases, the killer is going to leave some form of DNA evidence in some type of way. Now, for example, the Maddie situation, there was some male DNA, they said, but they didn't really say it was Stern's, for what I remember, but they did say there was male DNA, or at least someone else's DNA on her that wasn't hers. So that's clearly like something to the effect of someone else was there, when whatever happened to her. So, but with the Richard, there's nothing. And there's not that many cases I can think of, at least current day cases, where the killer leaves literally nothing. There's no evidence.
Yeah, there's no way. Right. There's no way that somebody committed those crimes in those woods and there was no blood. There was not big. I mean, there would have been a lot of blood and nobody's seen with that. Like, it's just a lot of, yeah, I agree. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, I was just agreeing too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Investigate. Yeah, exactly. Bad
Say
girl.
he left again, came back later. Sorry, love, I didn't mean to cut you off again with the video, but yeah, investigate the investigation. Exactly, that's what we got to do. I mean, and we can't, and it sucks. YouTube, you're okay. Later in the evening, search going on. Later on, late hours, tried to move oldest one to area not going to be found. Place where four-wheelers something go. Bird his clothes in bird pile. Hiking, possibly walking, boots, gloves, bag. The top half of page 4 of Exhibit 4B is reproduced below. It seems to say, sole of boots, be something, in burn pile. Next morning, 2 other girls knocked on door, asked to search on property, felt weird if he said no. He let them take off, got a hold of family member, and got out of area. The bottom half of page 4 of Exhibit 4B is reproduced below. It seems to say, oh no. First time he seen them from property, home, something, etc., guns, etc. During struggle, youngest girl, not, happened to friend to stand there, head, neck, artery. Defendant's Exhibit 4C is a handwritten note signed by Ricci Davis dated June 21st, 2017. The same day, First Sergeant Hansard interviewed him. The handwritten note is attached to the same lead narrative summary cover sheet and is contained in the same file as First Sergeant Hansard's handwritten notes that are Exhibit 4D, Exhibit 4. So basically, this is where an officer went and talked to this man, to Ricci Davis in prison. And Ricci Davis told him what Ron Logan told him. And these are the handwritten notes that the officer wrote while this inmate, Ricci Davis, was telling him what Ron Logan said. And a lot of these things, there's certain things in here that only the killer would know that this man is telling the officer, and all we have are these handwritten notes, and they're basically trying to figure out what the handwritten notes say and telling us, what it seems to say.
And this is exactly in 2017 when this would be stuff, at least when they found the bodies, this is what the wounds that they saw. So yeah, it's like, well, okay. Every time I think about this case, my mind gets like, what the hell is going on? Because when they asked, what was I going to say? When they asked, I just brain farted. It was going with Allen, but it just, to me, doesn't make sense how, as they had him as a suspect, or at least as a person in question, but then you have this guy who's describing things that only the killer would know.
Yep. And you've pieced together little fragments that could possibly say Richard Allen are guilty. Like you have pieced this together to make it look like there's a small possibility that Richard Allen may have done something. And the way you've had to piece it together is like, freaking 12th level trigonometry on another portal in another universe. That's what you had to do to make it look like Richard Allen was guilty. But you have this here that's like, third grade freaking ABCs, and we're going to just throw that away and go with the paranormal universe trigonometry confession. Like, really?
Every time I think about this case, I get dumbfounded. But then that's why I always have questions. And if I was there with the prosecution, I would ask them, so why did the authorities initially have this note in 2017? You didn't have anything other than when Richard said he was in the area and that was it. But yet you have this individual in the same year when the girls were murdered describing the neck wounds, around their neck. So why weren't you interested in investigating more with this guy or what he was saying?
And when the FBI came, they were focused on the guy that this confession is talking about, and they made the FBI leave because Ron Logan, I'm assuming, had pull in the community. He has shit on the sheriff that the sheriff didn't want out.
Well, there's that. I mean, yeah, the whole small town thing.
Yeah. Cara gifted 10 Speculation Station memberships. Thank you for that. That was so very sweet. Those went to SGA, Denise, Andrea, Niche True Crime was gifted. That's cool. Missy T, I Stand with Britt was gifted. Joanne, mom of MO3Gs, which I'm going to assume is mom of 3 girls. Nikki, the boss lady, Sandy, were gifted. Welcome to Speculation Station. I'm going to grab the crazy train and we're going to go to Speculation Station. Thank you so much, Cara, for that. That was so sweet of you. Thank you. Thank you so much. The whole thing just doesn't make sense. We'll listen to the end of this. Ricci Davis's handwritten note about Ron Logan's confession to him says, Mr. Logan has made reference to the killings in Delphi, Indiana. He told me he was the one who had killed those girls, that it had got out of hand. He walked with them into the woods to his property, and the girls wanted to turn back. Said something about walking the something. He grabbed the youngest girl to reassure her it was okay. However, they panicked, and he also panicked. He indicated he ended up cutting the oldest with a box cutter. He went on telling me that he killed both of them because it was took too far. So in addition to the other details that fit the known facts, Ron Logan confessed to Ricci Davis that he used, quote, box cutters to kill the girls. If instead of, for the first time at Mr. Allen's trial, Dr. Kors said 7 years earlier, said the girls could have been killed by a box cutter, there would certainly have been more probable cause to arrest and charge Ron Logan with the girls' murders. As it was, the FBI, 2 months before Ron Logan's confession to Ricci Davis, had obtained a judicial finding of probable cause to search Ron Logan's property. Under these circumstances, Dr. Corr's trial testimony about a box cutter possibly being used to murder the girls makes Ron Logan's confession to Ricci Davis newly discovered evidence that would either be admissible through Ricci Davis Indiana Evidence Rule 804-B-3 or through First Sergeant Hansard under the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. They cite Holmes versus South Carolina in 2006, Kubush versus Neal in 2016. Ron Logan's confession exculpates Mr. Allen and would probably produce a different result at a retrial. Accordingly, the court should either vacate Mr. Allen's convictions or set this motion for a hearing. 3. So that's the Ron Logan's confession. And I mean, I don't know. You guys can let me know what you think about it, but we're going to now get into Ricci Davis. While I pull that up, let me pull up these pictures from As the Gavel Drops Discord. It is a cell phone. I thought it might be blood, but it was not. So we'll look at these real quick. And I'll get that playlist up. I think it's going to be the same pictures that we just saw on the news channel. But again, if you want these pictures for yourself, check out As the Gavel Drops Discord. And they also have a YouTube channel. Both are linked in the description box. And As the Gavel Drop is pinned at the top of the chat box.
Maybe it was just, it was like looked like a wetness. Maybe it could have looked like blood on that phone because it looked like it has like some sort of wet glossiness to it.
Yeah, I was looking at it on my cell phone and it was really small and it did look like some kind of blood because I wasn't sure what I was looking at. So it just looked like black, like a dark black on the leaves on my cell phone. So that's probably why I thought that. Let me grab the other ones. There's 2 more. I'm excited. I mean, you know, as excited as you can be in a homicide case, to know what they found on Ricci Davis because there's new videos from the news where they're talking to Ricci Davis. See, this is State's Exhibit 10, and it again shows her cell phone. I wonder how the lead, like, okay, if she put it under her before she passed away, because they said it was in a shoe or something. If I remember correctly, there was some kind of somebody saying that her cell phone was in a shoe. But how did the leaves get in between? Like, it seems like if she put it there and then laid down on top of it, there wouldn't be leaves in between the cell phone and her. But I could be wrong.
Well, didn't the prosecution or the state say that they died supposedly slowly? So what are they trying to, I guess, would it be like she hid it under herself while she was dying? Well, I forgot who was dying first or last again, but allegedly. But that's what I thought that was what they were trying to imply. Like one of the girls had it, and that's where they supposedly found the way it was like that. Because to me, it looks like it was buried under, like someone was trying to cover it up.
Yeah. So supposedly, I think it was Abby, who put it under her, trying to basically cover it up so the killer wouldn't know that she had the cell phone. But the way it's covered looks like it was laid there and then leaves fell on it and then she was somehow placed on top of it. Hold on, let me get this last picture pulled up. I think this was the first one I saw, and imagine seeing this on a cell phone and like all you see is the little black spot. So hard to tell. So that's probably why I thought that. So yeah, that's the and as you can see, they're labeled. Oh no, you can't see it. Hold on. They're labeled the state's exhibits. There's a lot of documents that As the Gavel Drops that are the state's exhibits too. All that stuff's coming out. There's a transcript of opening statements too, but I figured y'all didn't want to listen to me sit here and read that. But if you want to, again, check them out.
And I'm assuming they're not gonna supposedly release not the bodies, but if they did they ever actually really recover the sticks on the girls? Like, did they take them off? And no, I don't think they did check the DNA on those things or anything like that. They just
left them
by. Yeah, they just initially, I'm assuming, took pictures and then drew the sketches of it, and that was it.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yep. They took pictures of it and I think that was it. They didn't even take them for evidence because they said that they were used to try to disguise the bodies. Like 2 sticks on a whole body. Stop it.
Yeah, I really want to see. Well, I gotta look at the sketch again because every time I do remember looking at it, I'm like, that looks. When I saw it initially, when it was reported, what was it, a year or two ago when the leak came out? Well, yeah, maybe 3 years ago now. I always assumed like that looks like a ritualistic thing. Like to anyone, even a lay person would be like, that kind of looks like some sort of religious or realistic. I can't talk today. Realistic. Oh, thank you. Ritualistic. Thank you. Tongue-tied. But yeah, when I saw that, I was like, that definitely looks highly suspicious, and they never said anything about that after that. It was like, well, they just try to hide the bodies with little twigs.
Right. Right. It's crazy. They definitely should have looked more into that, and they definitely should have took them sticks and tested them. Okay, so we're going to talk about Ricci Davis real quick. This is the one who made the confession, who said that Ron Logan confessed to him when Ron Logan was in prison. I think he was in prison for DUIs or something to that.
Now to the latest in the ongoing legal saga that is the Delphi double murders case. Attorneys for convicted Delphi murderer Richard Allen are asking the judge to force the prosecutor to turn over interviews and documents that they say point to alternate suspects involved in the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. Now they're asking for that evidence to be preserved for now and then eventually turned over as they attempt to try to overturn Allen's guilty verdict. Those records specifically are letters written by this man, inmate Ricci Davis, to prosecutor Nicholas McClellan. Now, in those letters, Davis apparently told prosecutor McClellan, about conversations he had in prison with Ron Logan. Logan was the owner of the property where Abby and Libby's bodies were found and was once a prime suspect in their murders. Now, Davis alleged that Logan confessed to being involved in the murders alongside 2 other people. Davis also claimed that Kagan Klein, another inmate, had told him information that, quote, could only be known by someone involved in the killings. Klein also allegedly told Davis that Richard Allen was not involved in the murders. Now, neither Logan nor Klein have identified the third supposed suspect. Now, this new filing requests that any letters, recordings, and records related to Ricci Davis from law enforcement agencies be preserved and eventually handed over to the defense. And a CBS 4 has an exclusive development in this story. Today, we received a letter mailed to us by Ricci Davis, the inmate at the center of all this. We had originally requested to go and interview Davis, but the Department of Corrections.
This is interesting. See, I haven't watched all of this, so I'm interested to see what he has to say. I've got some stuff that he posted too we're going to talk about that makes me question his credibility a little bit, but, you know, I figured I'd share it with you guys.
They turned us down, citing, quote, security reasons. Now, in this letter, Davis told us he sent multiple letters about the supposed confessions to prosecutor McClellan, and they were all ignored. He told us he believes that Richard Allen is an innocent man and wants to get justice for Abby and Libby. You can read his full letter, everything that he said. We have it posted for you right now on CBS4Indy.com. Just as a reminder, in November, Allen was found guilty of murdering Abby Williams and Libby German back in February of 2017. He received a 130-year prison sentence. Allen has now been moved to the Pendleton Correctional Facility. That's according to online court records.
I need to back it up so we can go and look at this letter. I think he said CBS Indy 14. Hold on.
Allen is an innocent man and wants to get justice for Abby and Libby. You can read his full letter, everything that he said. We have it posted for you right now on CBS4Indy.com. Just as a reminder, in November, Allen was found guilty of murdering Abby Williams and Libby German back in February of 2017. He received a 130-year prison sentence. Allen has now been moved to the Pendleton Correctional Facility. That's
Mima, I will stay right here.
According to online court records from the Indiana Department of Corrections. Yesterday marked 8 years since the girls' bodies were found. We recently talked with Libby's grandparents for the first time since Allen's trial. Listen.
Are you at peace with the verdict, or do you struggle with the verdict?
No, the verdict was fair and just. I mean, that is our justice system, and it worked just as intended. It won't bring the girls back. You know, that'll never happen. But at least he can't do this to somebody else's family.
And you can find their full interview online. We have it all posted for you.
All right. Well, it looks like that's where we're going right now.
Well, see, now I do want to see what you were talking about, the whole question ability of Davis. But I mean, like I said, it is interesting that there's already documentation from 2017 where he's talking about the neck wounds, and that the police and the prosecution and everyone else, you know, for the state didn't mention anything about neck wounds until, you know, when the trial happened. And then, of course, that forensic doctor is like, oh, yeah, they totally got killed with box cutters. But he never really said what it was initially. Well, did he even, after all,
Sorry, love. Go ahead.
did he say initially that he believed that they were cut with box cutters, the forensic doctor, the pathologist?
So he said, from what I understand, what was said was, or what I remember reading, they said that there was 2 weapons used, one serrated and one unserrated. And then all of a sudden they had an epiphany that a box cutter was used. And then you hear the confession, and then they try to say Richard Allen used a box cutter. And then you hear about the confession that this guy made with about what Ron Logan said, where he used a box cutter. So they did end up saying a box cutter was used, but
For 2 different people.
it was after. Yeah, it was after. After they said 2 separate weapons were used, one serrated and one non-serrated.
Right. So it's like this is the stuff that, you know, I wouldn't mind debating someone, but I mean, of course, they'll probably give their take. I just think this is bizarre. How would you have this guy say something back in 2017, and then the police and everyone else doesn't admit, well, how exactly the girls were killed? They just said they were murdered. Yes. Well, how exactly? Because even I hate to know how sometimes people are murdered, but I still want to know, because then we can figure out, well, what kind of weapon was used and all that other kind of stuff. And then, but then when you say it like years later, when you supposedly found the killer, or the alleged killer, it just, to me, just seems asinine in so many ways.
So I guess these won't make you question his credibility, but I mean, he's into some things. Rachel said Ricci has nothing to gain telling everyone about this. He actually puts himself in danger, and you have a point. This is a post on his Facebook, and it says, "Happy birthday, ears, love ya," and it's I'm going to give you a trigger warning, but it's the how do I say it? It's a prison gang with you know, ties to World War II. Starts with a ARY, brothers for life, 14 to 18 respect is what he said. And now this picture that I'm going to show you is another one that he posted. I think he changed his profile picture to this. And it's going to be concerning to see. I'm giving you a very heavy trigger warning. I try to cover it up the best I can, but it's pretty bad. So I put these arrows. You can imagine what this picture was behind it. And it's got right here, it had 3 6s, and there's an A here and a B here. I'm going to get that off the screen. You can guess what it was. So I found those on Ricci Davis. I don't know. I probably shouldn't have said it. It brings his credibility into question. It kind of doesn't, but it's just concerning. But I mean, again, to be fair, if he's involved in those kind of affiliations, that usually happens in prison. And that tells me he's done a lot of time in prison. And that's also something like, you're not going to be involved in some things like that. He could actually get in trouble with his quote unquote brothers for snitching. So maybe that gives him more credibility.
And most of them don't like child killers or predators. So it's very, I'll say, like, yeah, if he is that, sure, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. This is America. I mean, for me, I don't particularly judge. You just don't harm other people. You can believe whatever kind of dumb beliefs, you know. But if he's, like I said, if he's saying something about the minute details that only the killer would know, or someone that would tell the killer, I mean,
Yeah.
someone else, yeah, but the killer would tell someone else, then I would listen at the very least.
Yep. This is something else that was filed. There is a post. I'll have to read it to you off my phone because I'd have to go grab it and that'll take a minute. But there is a post that's saying that Ricci is now on suicide watch. Probably shouldn't have said that word, but I can pull it up. I'll work on getting that for us after we look at the letter he wrote. I do have this. It says Allen Circuit Court and Superior Courts have entered a revised order prohibiting electronic devices in court facilities. This order was filed with the Allen County Clerk under case number, and is in effect. The revised order supersedes any previous versions, basically saying that we're not ever going to have cameras and things in court.
Okay, see, this is why when they have the Madeline Soto case, it's like, okay, how? It's like, what is the difference in the states between? This is in Indiana, right? I'm trying to remember the state.
Yeah.
Indiana?
So
Yeah.
it wouldn't go for Florida. Hopefully, in Florida, we will be able to watch Stern's trial.
Right. It's like, it's very interesting how, for some reason, maybe just because of the state, I'm thinking it's because of this particular case, but he's being treated very, very differently compared to other alleged, well, now convicted, I'm doing air quotes, child killers. And then it's like you got Stinky, and it's like, what the hell is going on? How is he being treated?
Right.
Kind of somewhat nice-ish.
Yep. Good question. Rachel said not true. He was moved with the help of Andy Baldwin for his safety. Oh, okay. If he was moved to Pendleton, yeah, I believe that Andy Baldwin helped him get moved to Pendleton for his safety. Those other documents I was showing was from when the trial was in effect, and I should have made that clear, and I didn't. But yeah, he's now in Pendleton.
Yeah, I did hear that recently. Now, I was actually a question about that. So it was because of his safety?
He got the first okay, so the first order for him to get moved, they said, was because they originally said it was for his safety, but the letter that I showed said that it was due to overcrowding. And they actually said he was treated better there than most of the other inmates. But he's now moved to Pendleton, which is going to be, I mean, he's out of Westville, and that's what's most important. So
I'll have to look into Pendleton more to see like their record and history of how a good portion of their inmates are treated.
Yeah, hopefully he's treated better there. Y'all, you can okay, I can read cursive, but I'm gonna have trouble with this. I'd probably have to print it out. I'm gonna try though. This is the letter from Ricci Davis to the news, because the jail said that they couldn't come and talk to him due to safety issues, which is absolute BS in my humble opinion.
Right.
So this is I'm gonna try my best. It says Fox 59 News, dear Lewis, news reporter and publishers. So this is regarding the missed interview to the Delphi murders by Ron Logan and the Indiana case something. I am sorry of the additional something of any continued effort of being able to speak of this. It has been a rough road of fighting against suspicious behavior of Carroll County, getting ahead reporting that something failed a polygraph. to many that would something of legitimate reasoning to disregard all the something accusing of dishumanity with reckless regard of something himself and goodness gracious. Yeah, y'all, I'm going to have to print this out and make it big. I will do my best. I'm going to go ahead and download it. I'll have to come back with this after I'm able to print it out, because if I try to print it out right now, it'll kick me off of my live stream. That's interesting. So we'll look at that. I'm going to go back to the grandparents interview real quick if we can watch that. Okay. So as we know, Liberty German's grandparents are they agree that Richard Allen is guilty. So keep that in mind as we watch this. I have to wait for it to load. Hold on just a minute. It says it's embedded within this story. That's all advertisements. So it's got to be up here. Yep. There it is. Sometimes it'll take a second to load. So.
And I still feel for them. Like, I'm never going to not stop feeling for their families, because
Yeah,
I feel horrible.
Yeah, I feel for them too. It's a hard place to be in, because you just want justice for your grandchild and her friend, and I can understand that and agree with it. Jennifer, I can read cursive, but yeah, I will definitely, you saw how I went to get it. So download it and see if you can read it, and maybe we can transcribe it. I'm going to try to print it out after this and see what we can figure out. It's a hard place to be in, because, at the end of the day, you just want justice for your grandchild and her friend, but it's just hard, because unless they know something we don't, I would be concerned about them having the right man.
Yeah, I'm all for that. It's just making sure you have the right guy, and it's just when it's circumstantial, a highly circumstantial case against someone. I guess like the only really two pieces is the evidence. Evidence is the confession and the bullet casing. To me, if I was a juror on there, I would definitely be like, I can't say he's guilty, because that's all you have. And
yeah,
I still would want, of course, justice for the girls and their families. So, I do want to hear what they have to say. I mean, I already know what they're going to say, but it's like, I still want to hear it, because they still deserve to have that sense of justice. I just want to make sure it's the right person,
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hard, I mean, I couldn't imagine being where they are right now. So I do have respect for that. Jennifer, thank you again for the support. That was so very sweet of you. Jennifer says, "We love you, allegedly speculating." Hit the thumbs up, everyone. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate y'all. Hello to everybody coming in, and I'll definitely get that printed out and try to transcribe it to the best of my ability. Unfortunately, I mean, I would print it out right now while we watch this if I could, but I'm scared it's going to boot me, because my printer hooks up to the Wi-Fi, and I might still try, but I don't know. If it starts cutting out real bad, I'll have to stop.
I was always horrible with cursive. Writing it and reading it. I'm just occasionally.
I'm really good with it. And I homeschool, and I've been teaching the kids, having to teach the kids to write in cursive. You get pretty good at it, but even that was because his cursive is so pretty and small. It's really well written, really beautifully written, but it's also very small, which makes it hard.
It is interesting that I've noticed that some people can do that. Like, well, I guess you say the classic "don't judge a book by its cover," and it'd be like, wow, you can actually write really well in cursive or any other kind of like, well, even in regular English print, like you can write really well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You just believe in a kind of bizarre belief system, but like I said, to each their own.
Yep.
It's like to each their own.
They do, and then to be fair, they do. You know, when you're when you're in prison and things like that, you have to. Some places you have to become part of something, or else they'll
Right.
you'll
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
a target.
You can't go lone wolf in the many prisons. I have unfortunately relatives up north and like in New York and Jersey and Maryland, and yeah, unfortunately they have to kind of do certain things when they go into jail or prison from time to time. So
Yeah. Hey, RC99. RC99 said his regular job is a tattoo artist. He has super steady hand, evidently. That's really interesting. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and play this interview. Attempt to.
Okay.
Vic and Mike, thank you for sitting down with me. 8 long years, emotional, long road, a gag order. The world has been watching. The world watched the verdict. So here we sit today. What do you want the world to know?
That I don't want to use the word happy, but we're maybe pleased that the verdict came out like it is and we finally got the killer off the street and the girls finally got the justice they deserved. Our system worked.
You can believe in the judicial system. It works. We watched it firsthand.
Are you at peace with the verdict, or do you struggle with the verdict?
No, the verdict was fair and just. I mean, that is our justice system, and it worked just as intended. It won't bring the girls back. You know, that'll never happen. But at least he can't do this to somebody else's family.
The verdict came down on December the 20th. You spoke shortly thereafter. The convicted killer.
Oh, wait a minute. Paul, sorry.
They're sentenced to 138 years in state prison. Even with good behavior, it would be well over 100 years that he has to serve. Had you allowed that verdict, you weren't ready to speak about the verdict on that day. You wanted to process. Have you processed? And what does that process look like?
It is more than just, because the girls don't get any years back, right? From the act that he did, the girls have no more years to live, and he shouldn't be allowed to live as a free man. I mean, how many years would the girls have lived beyond where they were? 70 years apiece.
If you have the right man, I want to jump in and say if you have the right man, but I want to know what their thought processes are on if he's not the right man. And I mean, I guess it would be disrespectful to ask them that. I wouldn't want to piss them off by asking them that, but I really want to know if they think obviously they think he's the right man, but how would they deal with if he's not the right man, which would be really disrespectful to ask.
Well, I mean, if it does get to where he can get a retrial, I don't know, Gall was doing her best to not make that happen. Yeah, and more evidence is put in that the defense is allowed to do, because maybe a different judge too. It would be interesting to see how they would react. I mean, if I was in the same position, I would be upset. But then I guess I would still question the prosecution. Like, well, what do you have to make sure that this is exactly the guy that did it? Well, we found a bullet casing that allegedly is his, and he confessed, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's all you got.
Well, the confession. Yeah, the confession would be groundbreaking, but under duress, under, all of the shit that was going on at the time, I don't know.
Yeah. I have a
Would
question.
love to be
Still.
80, 85 years old.
Oh, sorry, Lo. What'd you say?
Oh, I would still question it, but I still want to listen to what they have to say still.
Yeah. Hey, Stoic Decision. Hey, Ashley.
Take those, add them on to what he did. There's your sentence. There's your 70 years, 140, one for each girl.
When I think of the time I've spent in this kitchen, I'm thinking that would this have been their junior or their senior year in college? Had they gone maybe to Purdue or to IU? Surely Purdue, not IU in this area, right? Boiler up in this part of the state. Would they have been seniors or juniors this year?
Libby would be a senior.
Both would have been seniors, right?
Mhm.
Right. So there's a lot of, you talked about that when you addressed the court, just they were robbed of the many things that they could have been doing. You could have been planning graduation here in April or May.
Yes, it becomes very apparent. Kelsey's about to have a baby, and even though you're celebrating that, you realize we will never get that with Libby. So every good thing, you realize there's going to be one of those that we're never going to celebrate.
During the trial, and it was a process, and you sat there, was there a piece of evidence as you saw the jury, as the courtroom was full of people, that you thought, or pieces of testimony or evidence that you said, we know in our heart what we know, but this is it. This is the evidence that jury of 12 and the alternates will say it has to be guilty.
I believe it was, while there were a couple of key things that came out, it was really the totality of the evidence and the information presented by the prosecution that put him at the crime scene. He admitted he was there. Of course, he admitted that he actually killed the girls. But aside from that, all the information that was presented at trial, in the totality of all that, is really, in my opinion, what has convinced everything. There was too many factors that all pointed directly to Richard Allen.
Okay, that was the question I had. Sorry if it gets weird because I've got my Wi-Fi hooked up trying to print this letter that guy wrote so we can read it. But they didn't allow them to see all the evidence. So going by what they were able to see, maybe I could understand why they think that, but
Yeah, because I would be like, this is what the judge and the state was allowing. Well, most of the state evidence for the most part, So if I would ask them, do you think it's fair in any trial that the defense is allowed to present all the stuff they have, and then vice versa for the state? Because in your situation, the state was allowed to do anything they wanted to when it came to evidence, but the defense wasn't. So how would it be really fair to get true justice when it's like it's pretty much a one-sided evidential allowance?
yeah. But do they know that?
Well, that's true. Because I mean, there are so many things I would ask the state too, but they'll dismiss me and all that or call me a conspiracy theorist, and it's like, all right, buddy, yeah, sure. But yeah, if I was the reporter, I'd be like, well, I mean, what? Okay, I knew he would say that, but like, well, what exactly? Yes, he confessed, but do we remember how many times he exactly confessed and said other weird stuff too? And the only thing he had was he said that he was in the time frame and the gun casing that was found basically almost 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
I mean, I just would be hard for me to be convinced.
Right.
In all honesty.
Yep. I'm 100% with you.
Just,
Reciprocal. Sorry, YouTube said reciprocal evidence is BS.
Yeah, you're right on that, YouTube.
Mayla's mom said that the defense was shut down on everything and continued to be today. Gold denied all the motions except one without hearing.
Well, see, that's why. Yeah, that's why. I've look when on the side note when the Maddie thing happens, let's have the defense have their crap, whatever it's going to be. Of course, the state's going to have their stuff, and then let them duke it out, in the court system. But when you have it to where you just only have one side, just predominantly showcasing what they have, and you don't allow the other side to do it, it
Yep.
seems very unfair, in my
Yep.
opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see how anybody could see that as fair, to be honest.
If any of us in chat were in some legal crap, maybe you're innocent, maybe you're not. Wouldn't you still want every single thing for your case to be shown for your evidence? I would think so.
Right. That's always been my main issue with this case. If the jury was shown everything and they still found Richard Allen guilty, I would say, okay, well, even though I don't think he's guilty, he's guilty. But they weren't shown. You've got to give the jury everything so they can make an informed decision. They can't make an informed decision without all the evidence. I mean, the definition contradicts itself.
Them
Lord.
acting all high and mighty. Not the family here. I'm talking about the judge and the state really, but mostly the judge too.
Yeah. Mayla's mom said it's been said the Innocence Project out of New York wants to take the case. I hope they do. I really do. Linda said the judge was truly biased. What they had as evidence was nothing, right? Basil. All right, I'm going to push play.
And then there was a mention of a white van. I think that was a key point that he would have saw coming down that private drive. I think that was a key thing. And then there were some interviews that happened with the state police where his wife was involved, and it was apparent that he had lied to her, that, she said, hey, I thought you said you weren't on the bridge, when he admitted that, yes, he was on the bridge. So he was already starting to get caught up in his own web of lies that he was trying to present out there.
And for you, Becky, was there any point that you said, this is it? This is what I know to be true, but when the jury hears this or these things, there's just no way that they can't come back with this verdict?
Well, walking through the trial and hearing all the evidence, he's right. The totality, it's like it all fits. The timeline, when you put it out there, the witnesses, everybody that was out there, and when you have that flow, it all matches. But I think one of the things that made me go, oh, was during the interview when his wife came in and said to him, but you said you weren't on the bridge. I think on me, when I heard her say that, I thought, they're going to catch that.
Was there a time you thought, what's happening here, or this is not going our way?
I think there was always some level.
Let me rephrase that you felt uneasy, right? Because obviously you know more than we know. You are part of you're part of the process. Was there a part that you felt uneasy and you thought the jury is just gonna hear a story about a man who allegedly has a psychosis and who's not well, who's mental, who's eating his feces, and will buy into maybe that narrative and all the other potential people? You thought, this is not going well.
I think that there's always some level of uneasiness, because the fate of this whole case, our community, our families, the future, is all based on 12 people.
So I got the document printed, thank goodness. So we will talk about that after we watch this interview. RC99 says she's just admitting there's no smoking gun. And you're right.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of vague the way they were saying it, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not gonna shit on the family members because this is a very traumatic event for them. I will just question. I mean, if anyone else on the outside saw this and were presented, like I keep saying, everything on both sides, I would still be very questioning on how would you say this was the exact guy that committed the crime, when now you're having another guy saying how the girls allegedly were killed what, almost 10 years ago now, with allegedly a box cutter weapon that now all of a sudden the pathologist says, oh yeah, it was a box cutter that did it. like,
Yeah.
like, don't you think I would question that? Like, well, why is this guy saying this basically almost 10 years ago?
Right. YouTube, I understand if you have to leave, and you do what you need to do, sweetheart. I'll catch you next time.
Take care of YouTube.
You're so nice, Bazard. Darlene said, how many things did the cops or guards feed him? The judge shut down so many things that would have put reasonable doubt in their minds. Everything that could have given him RD, reasonable doubt, was kept from the jury. Yeah. That's the issue. Like, you can't make and expect a jury to make an informed decision without all the information.
That
I need you to
obviously
shut
we
that.
don't know, right? They were jury of his peers, and they had in their hands the ability, to make decisions. And I'd like to comment on them. I was very impressed with the judge allowing them to ask questions, and you could tell they were highly engaged, very detail oriented in their questions that they would ask as follow up after a particular person was being questioned or whatever. That was impressive in itself. So that kind of helped us, the fact that they're really digging into this to want to know every detail to make sure specifics are getting figured out. And obviously came to pass with their verdict. But there was always, until you hear that verdict, there's always a potential for it to maybe not go our way.
In recent days, the defense attorneys have made some filings. They've spoken to podcasters, they've spoken to us, Fox 59, CBS 4, and they believe their client, in their word, is innocent and should not be in state prison. It is their belief that the wrong person is in custody.
So I'm glad he's asking that question, and I want to know the answer. Ashley, from what I understand, the defense was doing Google searches during breaks and coming back with the results of the Google search as like justifiable, reliable witness statements or something, statements that go with their case or whatever. And it was just a simple Google search, or they couldn't do a Google or simple Google search would have given them the information. There's something about that in the documents I remembered reading. All right, let's see what they say about thinking Richard Allen's not guilty.
Everybody's entitled to their beliefs, but the evidence was presented and the jury decided on that evidence. They may believe he's innocent, but they weren't able to prove that he wasn't there. They never once tried to prove that he wasn't there or that he didn't do it. They just tried to point the fingers at other people and take the emphasis off of the evidence against him. So I don't think it's not there. So he's guilty.
You both addressed the court with impact statements. Mike, I want to take words out of your impact statement.
I was muted. I don't think the issue has ever been that he wasn't there. I think the issue has been that he didn't do it. And the FBI even believed that Ron Logan was guilty. Like, I mean, I say I, but the public has pointed the finger at other people because other people fit the criteria more of who did it, in my opinion.
Well, and then of course there's the boyfriend's dad or boyfriend, Eric Bro. Yeah, that had a painting of literally what one of the girls' bodies was positioned. And it's stuff like that that's like, if you showed, I wouldn't want to show that to the family, but let's say I'd be like, well, don't you think it's weird that the quote unquote boyfriend of one of the girls' dad has a painting of exactly the same position that one of the girls' bodies was in?
Yeah.
How would he know that? And this was this was either before
It was
the
before.
exact. Okay, so it'd be like, how did he know exactly the girls or one of them was positioned like that? Now I would question maybe not the family, but someone maybe should try to talk to them that will have some sort of authority, at least they can listen to, because they're not going to listen to me or anyone else, I guess. But maybe we'll a reporter be like, well, isn't it weird that one of the girls' boyfriend's dad has a painting of allegedly of the position that one of the girls was found? Don't you think that'd be kind of weird?
Yep. Yep. And I'm sure they've seen it. I actually have it on my phone. I can pull it up. I'd have to send it to myself again, but I can pull it up if y'all need to see it. But I'm sure y'all know which one it is. And it was before everything happened. People placed the Abby's ex-boyfriend at the mailbox at the end of the drive where they were found that morning at 8:30. So it appeared that maybe the girls were going there to meet him if they weren't going to meet Keegan Klein.
Miss him. I mean, it's like, what? Yeah. This case just drives me crazy. But yeah, this Keegan Klein, like, he seems to play a big part, but they're like, oh no, he was just a pedo that was just catfishing girls. Yeah, but he other than anyone else, like their families, he's actually the sister. He's one of the last people you can say that interacted with the girls that we know of when they were alive.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it may be online, but I mean, still, that's a hell of a thing to really look into and deep dig and like, okay, well, you're literally one of the last few people to, on that day, contact one of the girls.
Right. And under a fake profile, known predator, like, is supposed to be meeting, because I do believe the text messages showed that they were supposed to meet up that day too. So again, I mean, there's another one. Like, there's so many other possibilities. But I mean, saying that at the same time, I could say, well, yeah, there's so many other possibilities. There's Ron Logan, there's Keegan Klein, there's Brad Holder, all of them. So if there's all these other people as possible suspects, then why is it so hard to believe that Richard Allen is a possible suspect? To try to look at it from all sides, because I could see possibilities with all of them except Richard Allen personally. And maybe that's because I'm biased, but I just see more of a possibility with these other people.
Right. Well, the Holder one is pretty much, to me, like one of the biggest things, other than Ron Logan and of course Klein, but like him having the exact image of how one of the girls was positioned. That's like, I'm trying to think of a serial killer analogy. That'd be like, I guess, if Ted Bundy had the wrench that he used, unfortunately, to use on one of his victims, and then he's just holding it in his hand one day and you see the evidence on it and he's just holding it. It's kind of like that. Like, I think I would be suspicious. Like, why do you have a wrench that's covered in evidence? I'll say that,
Yeah. Yep.
But no, it just seems that Richard Allen was just the number one suspect, and that was it. They're gonna die on a hill for it. It seems that they're gonna die on a hill for that.
Yep.
In your 3-page statement, you expressed appreciation to the judge. These are your words: for her ability to thwart off all unnecessary noise and acts that were deployed during the process. Your letter, though, did not detail what the noise and the acts were. What noise and acts did the judge thwart off that you thought helped or that you thought were necessary in this case?
I think all the accusations that came out against the judge and the fact that that was brought up by the defense against her to try to get her thrown off the case, we ended up having to go down to the state Supreme Court, sit through hearings there to listen to motions that were filed by them. And just all the pressure. Think about the pressure that was on her as well. They were coming after her left and right, calling out her ability to be a fair-minded judge and to be able to sit on the bench. And she persevered. I mean, she's just a person too, right? And
okay, she's just the person that denied every single motion from the defense and none from the prosecution. I mean, give me a damn break. I guarantee you, even in stinky ass Stern's trial, some from the defense will be admitted and then or granted, and then some from the prosecution will be granted. Even if the prosecution is the district attorney and on the side of the judge and the state. So even if they grant all their motions, they would still grant some from the defense to make it look better instead of just like maybe none at all.
I mean, it was like 99% for the prosecution, and then the 0% for the defense. I mean, that's how it really was. I mean, no one can deny that. I mean, I'm not gonna argue with them, but it's like anyone else. It's just like, okay, the prosecution got away with 99%, and then the defense only had 1%, and that was it. And you can't deny that. There's no way you can deny that the prosecution got the better end with Judge. I had a nickname for it, but I won't say it. But Judge Gall, it's a very pretty much bad nickname, but yeah, she allowed them to do whatever they want, and she only maybe one few serious times she kind of did something that sort of hindered the prosecution from what I can remember, but not particularly. But yeah, that was it. It's like 1 or 2 times.
Yeah, definitely not unbiased at all. I mean, she was clearly biased.
Mm-hmm.
Rachel, you said right here, McDoofus told Ron Logan if he gets arrested, he will get him out when he's elected. I would love to know where you heard that or if I could validate that, because that's really interesting. All right, I'll play this and click through your comments.
I was very pleased with her ability to stay on task and not let those things draw her off and draw her away from the case. A lot of people would have said, this isn't worth it. I don't need all this extra noise in my life, but she didn't.
Did you? And just to be specific, when you talk about the noise and acts, were these also any of the filings made by the defense?
Oh, absolutely.
But you weren't clear about that either. So I'm going to give you a chance, right? No, because I want to understand what that meant when you said noise and acts. So I hear you on the judge. What were the unnecessary noise and acts that you believe was that noise and acts?
Yeah, it was the filings by the defense team in an effort to try to get either a change of venue or to get the judge thrown off the case. I mean, that's what I guess that's what a defense team is supposed to do, right? Is to take any action and all action to try to be in the best interest of their client. But in this case here, they went after the judge and tried to get her thrown off the case by all their filings. And I don't have the specific filing numbers, but
that's fine.
That is exactly, their actions of doing that had to be hard on Judge Gall.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so, but
I'm gonna politely disagree. Bad Girl said there's been another plane accident. 2 planes collided. What is going on with these planes crashing everywhere? Like, I don't understand this. This is insane.
Yeah, I'm kind of worried about that because I did have a plan. Well, I already ordered my flight and got my hotel. I was going to go to Chicago to visit my my grandparents' gravesite. I haven't been there in, well, I guess it would be 4 years now by this year. So yeah, I'm kind of a little worried about this whole plane stuff. It's interesting. But it sounds like a lot of these are the smaller size planes, and then a little bit larger ones, but not. I haven't heard like the large, regular commercial flights. But it has been like this kind of more medium, and then the small, like kind of private jet ones.
Yeah. I hope so. I mean, I don't hope so. I want to send prayers out to the victims and families. I think some of the other ones were bigger ones, but I don't understand why all these planes are crashing right now with air traffic control. Like, we haven't heard of planes crashing like this in years.
Yeah, this year has been, well, kind of started even, was it beginning of this year or really like towards of last year? It kind of started.
At the beginning of this year. And by the way, I hope that you need to let us know so that we can make sure you're safe. Keep in contact, email me or something.
Yeah, I'll definitely email because it's April, the second week of April. So like the 8th, that's when I go down there.
Okay.
Oh, up there. And then I'll just be there until the 13th of April.
Well, let us know that you're safe, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
really sweet that you're doing that. I will keep you. I hope that you're safe. Hopefully, they'll have it figured out by then. Jeez, Louise, I don't understand.
I'm into kind of like conspiracy stuff. For years, I've been into that kind of things, and allegedly, kind of the main thing is like either it's because there's not that many. The thing is, I guess you call it. They kind of relate to the whole DEI thing, but the idea is that there's either just too many, not fully experienced air tower people, and then also pilots as well. That's kind of like the conspiracy thing I've been hearing. Like, there's too many not fully, maybe like decades long pilots and or also air control personnel, and for whatever
Okay.
reason they're making mistakes, and then these accidents seem to be happening a lot.
They need more training for sure. I get into some conspiracy theories too, and I have my own, but I'll leave those
Yeah.
for
Oh, we can
another
talk about it. Yeah, we can definitely talk about it.
I hope that those people are okay, and I do want to send my heartfelt thoughts and prayers out to them.
But she stood firm, and for that, that's why I said I'll always be grateful.
Becky, in your letter to the judge, you wrote the following about the defense. Your words: they have done nothing but twist the knife around and around in our wounds.
Yes. Yes. Through
That's
the
very
last
that's very
2
visual.
years.
That's visual. That's visual.
Yes, the last 2 years. Every time we turned around, they were doing something that would be totally disrespectful to the girls, or just like the photo leak, an unfortunate event. We have to live with that. Whoops, it was a mistake, but we get to live with that. And for one of them to sit in the office, the judge's chambers, and say, I really don't care that those photos are out there. I mean, how do you think that makes us feel? You don't care that anybody from now on can go online and see those, that our great-grandchildren and Libby's nieces and nephews can be out there searching about their aunt, and then these come up and they're faced with them. Yeah. They've done just the fact that they put the blame on other people. Instead, I understand when you're a defense lawyer, I understand it's your job, but do you really go out there and try to throw innocent people under the bus just to protect yours? How many people have they messed with their lives? And I don't know, it just seems like that, and like in some of the filings, when they would go into detail slowly, and when I really don't want to say this out loud, but just like when he said she died a slow death. Why would you do that? Why would you put that out there? Don't they know we're going to read it? So why would you stab that knife in a little bit more? Make it hurt a little bit more.
You both are people of faith. And in your letter to the judge, and I'm skipping around my own question.
I mean, that's a hard thing because there's a lot going on right now as far as victims' rights when it comes to YouTube. There's a lot of talk, I should say, right now about victims' rights when it comes to YouTube and cases like this. And I do genuinely feel bad for her that those pictures are out there. It does show one of them in the nude. I've seen them. They're not hard to find. And I hate that that will be out here forever and that she has to deal with it. And it's easy for us to say, just don't look, don't read it, don't, but I mean, if it was my child, I would be reading every single one. Like I couldn't help myself. I would want to know every aspect of everything. And I would feel the way she does right now. So I have respect for that.
Well, I'm not angry, or I wouldn't even be upset with them. I may disagree with certain aspects. Like, I Do you remember that? Wasn't it not someone technically part of the defense that did that, and then he killed himself or delete himself too? So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's and I would assume with the emotion stuff, like, well, maybe in certain aspects they were. I mean, I can't say they were fully playing around, but maybe they were just putting emotions. They were like, well, we have evidence that shows our client didn't do this and that, but of course the judge didn't allow that. So I agree. And I do feel sad that their granddaughter and then their friend's friend will have their images, or one of their images at least, be out there forever. And sickos, of course, are going to be into that kind of stuff. Like there's a
Yeah.
huge thing. Well, I remember when I was growing up. I mean, I can admit that I wasn't into it, but me and my friends would go on those like live leak stuff, and we would see real life stuff that happens. And as time when I got older, I just didn't like that kind of stuff. I just got sick of it, you know. I think a
Yeah.
lot of people are into that kind of stuff. A lot of people are curious to see things in real life, and I think most people like me, I just grew out of it. I just got tired of seeing it. Like I don't like hearing about it. It's part of reality, but I don't want to see it. But
Right.
unfortunately, I know people are well out there that want to see that kind of crap.
Yeah. I understand where she's coming from. I mean, I can definitely have some sympathy for her in that aspect. I wish those pictures weren't out here. Darlene, what happened was there was an intern working for the defense, and he leaked the photos. And I think from what I've heard, rumor had it that he unalived himself after that, but that's why they were originally taken off the case, and they had to go to the Supreme Court to be put back on the case.
Mm-hmm.
Like Bad Girl said, but Richard Allen's lawyers didn't leak them on purpose. It's sad, but Delphi failed the girls, not Richard Allen, and that's a good point. They should have replaced Gull, but I just read that she was also up for promotion in 2024. Isn't that interesting, Cara?
I still don't know why she's still involved with the case. Like when you
I
just have
don't
another judge. Yeah.
I don't know why she's even a judge still, to be honest with you. Jennifer said, just makes me mad. She says defense throwing innocents you under a bus to say Richard Allen because it's the other way around. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Question, but you're sort of conflicted by this, that while in the sense of you are faithful people, you go to church, do the things, can you reconcile all of that? Because you in your letters, you struggled with that. You even talked about that at some point, like you want to make sure you can figure this out. This is not the moment, but you talk about that. How are you dealing with that? I'm curious.
I've had several conversations with my pastor over this, and no, I haven't made peace with it yet. I haven't. I got to work on it. It's going to take time. It's going to take time and a lot of prayer, I guess, because two girls lost their lives and a monster took it. And to think, my conversation with the pastor was, all he has to say is forgive me. And we're supposed to say, oh, okay. That's tough to swallow. That's one I got to work on.
Mike?
And I think even to that point of to say, forgive me, he hasn't. Nor has the defense for the things that they've done to our families through these leaks. They've never taken accountability for that. Never said, I'm sorry. I apologize. Neither has Richard Allen ever said to us, I'm sorry for what I've done. He's admitted to it over 60 times, but he had opportunity in the court that day. But yet, what's he doing? Read a person by what they do, not what they say. He's still fighting to be innocent and be cleared of the murders that he committed.
But if he didn't commit the murders, I mean, he's not going to apologize for something he didn't do. I just...
Yeah, their logic.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's so hard. It's so hard because I respect them and how they feel and the pain that they're dealing with, but at the same time, if he's innocent, we can't put an innocent man in jail.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Well, especially if it's just a case where it's just too many bizarre inconsistencies and circumstantial stuff to even remotely say that he did it.
yeah.
Because I'm sorry, you can go.
Go ahead.
I was gonna
Sorry.
say the state never really did any sort of psychological, in my personal opinion, psychological background to say he is that type of killer that would wait in his late 50s to finally commit a brutal first time killing like this to two young girls in
Yep.
a spot that people could still hear, if anything, or at least eyewitnesses could be around at the very least. And it doesn't fit, compared to Stinky, where he was a ticking time bomb, in my
Yep.
personal opinion. But I don't know, with him, I can't see it. I just don't see the type of killer that well, I've always had this thing, I guess a sidetrack. I've always had this thing that anyone technically could be or could kill, but it's just the type of killing like that to me always seemed like something that you've done either before or you waited all these years now and you're finally able to do it.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely not something that it doesn't appear to be there was no signs, there was no symptoms. This person hasn't committed a crime like this before. Yeah, I understand completely what you're saying. Carr said, Fort Wayne, Indiana, Allen Superior Court Board of Judges has elected a new chief judge, rounding out the leadership team that will guide the court for the next 2 years. And she put the article in our Discord, so I'll make sure to link that below. Thank you for that. Darlene says, as they say with the internet, so many keyboard warriors hiding in mama's basement, pretending to be somebody, cowards, name calling, and being nasty. So sad. Yeah, I thought Rachel said yes, the defense did apologize. I thought the defense did, but I don't know that Richard Allen specifically did, but
well, yeah, I don't think if he's insisting that he's innocent, he's never say I apologize.
Right, because it's he didn't do it. And Liddy said that the way they treated him before the verdict was appalling. It was.
Yeah.
And the defense is backing him up on that and continue to do so. So that's very difficult to forgive somebody who their acts don't back up when they say, I want to please be forgiven. I mean, he wrote it in a statement, but he never said it. And he's never taken accountability for that and stood up.
You want to hear that?
That would be one step, certainly.
Right, that's not the absolution, but you at least want him to say to you what do you want from him? He can't make this right. In the sense that something has happened horrible, but what at least begins that road of maybe forgiveness, if that's even possible?
I would like him to stand up and take accountability for what he's done, and he can ask us for forgiveness. That is a step that he needs to take. You said he found God, but you have to back up that with acts, right? Your acts have to back that up. They're not doing that. I asked him to let the girls rest in peace, but he didn't. He's filed an appeal. I want to get off. I want to find some sort of a technicality. Let's jump from Odinism to now Ron Logan. The defense was 100% convinced this is Odinism. My guy's not guilty. But they threw that out the window. Now let's pick up something else. Let's blame it on Ron Logan, who was already investigated by the police. It's all done. They had all this information. They just keep choosing, hoping something's going to stick against the wall. Again, read their actions, not their words.
I completely disagree, but I'm going to play this. I want us to get through it.
They're just trying to find something to stick against the wall. Richard could put a stop to this. He's the guy in charge. He can say, I'm done. I want to take accountability. I want those girls to rest in peace. But yet he's electing not to.
The defense would say, and they've said to us, that they're doing their jobs, that this is not personal. In fact, they told us that in the interview, that they are doing what every person needs, their constitutional rights, to make sure that that person, the convicted killer, gets the best defense possible. You have taken issue by the way in which they have comported themselves. Do you believe that that legal team, through the normal course of what the Supreme Court does, should they face any discipline for their action?
I would leave that up to the courts and the professional, society there and that whole circle to deal with that appropriately.
Absolutely not.
You'll stand by that answer?
I guess my question on this is it doing your job to allow leaks of sensitive photos? Is that just doing your job?
We're going to get to that. I just want to make sure that based on how you feel, right? Because do you feel that, I'm not asking you to in any way attack the legal team. I'm just asking, based on how you feel, what you've seen, should they be sanctioned? Should there be discipline for the way they've carried out their duties? They would say, look, we were doing our jobs. We have to be, they would say, we have to be tough. We have to do what we have to do, but it's not personal against the Patties or the Williamses. It's just what we have to do. Do you buy that narrative? I mean, it's for you to decide. I can't decide that.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that they have a job to do. But I don't feel that that job should be at the expense of Abby and Libby. And that's what they've done.
Okay.
They could certainly hold themselves to a higher.
But in order to defend Richard Allen, who is presumed innocent, I mean, their job is, I don't think it's at the expense of Abby and Libby. I think that again, blaming Richard Allen for what, oh God, I'm so heated. I can't.
Even the Ron Logan thing, I totally get it, alleged. Trust me, I'm in the same ballpark. This is their opinion. I'm just being quiet, letting them say it. I'm maybe like doing meh or scuffing in my mind, whatever. Yeah, here and there. But like I was going to get at, I would ask them, well, the Ron Logan thing could still even relate to the Odin thing, because the whole idea is that there are individual people, allegedly, that conspired to do what they did to girls. And it is weird that Ron Logan, now maybe he's not an Odinist, but it does seem to fit his profile of what his girlfriend was mentioning. And it just seems weird that the girls were found as property. And then this guy, Davis, is saying, well, this is what he told me. And he's describing the weapons that were used to delete the girls. And this is back in 2017. So, I mean, I think there is still an aspect of a really weird, esoteric, ritualistic thing to it. That's my personal theory. But Ron Logan could fit in that. And then it's like you got Keegan Klein and his fat ass. And then I keep forgetting the boyfriend's dad, or quote unquote boyfriend's dad. What was his name again?
Brad Holder.
Brad Holder. Then is there Brad Holder, a guy that seems to be an Odinist of some type, and it's freaking, I don't want to curse because it gets me angry, but it's like he's drawing bizarre images of one of the positions that the girl's body was in. So, I mean, if I was a reporter, I'd be like, well, I would ask them, well, did the prosecution show you about these other people that were supposedly investigated? The images of Brad Holder, Keegan Klein, Ron Logan, and the statements that a inmate is saying that he told him years ago, exactly the same year the girls died. All these other things. But yeah, like I said, it drives both of us and a lot of other people crazy. It's just so much bizarreness to this case.
Yep. Bad Girl said, what about the state and all the lost evidence? Is that fair to the defense?
Yes. How do you videotape? Well, how do you lose interview videotapes?
Yep.
How you're supposed to be, a professional agency, law enforcement. Of course, we know that's not always true. Duh. But it's like, how do you lose stuff that seems to be that you want to find out what exactly happened to the girls, and you lose the interviews.
Yep. All the
But
confessions.
Mhm.
It's ridiculous.
But yeah, the only ones you have is just Richard Allen's. But you
Mm-hmm.
don't have any all of the people that you interviewed, all that mysteriously got deleted or overtaped or whatever kind of dumb bullshit excuse they came up with.
Yep.
But you only have his. Yeah. That seems convenient, you know.
Yep. A little too convenient. Rachel said they weren't Odinists. They were all practicing Vinlanders, and they had a bonfire the night before. Yep. They misuse all symbology.
Yeah, that's okay. That's a good point. Because I was like, I guess people are so used to saying the Odinist thing, but like I said, I think in my personal opinion, there was some bizarre esoteric and that kind of like conspiracy thing. I don't know if you guys want to get into it one day, but there's been a lot of cases where people believe that's like a religious, bizarre, esoteric kind of murders that have been going on for who knows how long. Here in the States and around the world, like specifically Europe. But that's my take. The way they were found, their body's position, no random, unless there was a serial killer obsessed with that kind of stuff. It just seems too specific, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And there's not that many serial killers I can think of because when I was younger, I had a serial killer like history nerd, like whatever encyclopedia thing in my mind, and I would like investigate the cases and all that. But I've never seen that many cases where it was clear as day, sort of like some bizarre religious or esoteric kind of aspect to it.
Yeah. It doesn't happen very often, and I think
Right.
that's part of the issue because it's so, I mean, it's like, seems like a conspiracy theory that most people would pass it off as like, oh, stop it, you're just grasping at straws now. But in this case, it really seems that it could be the case.
I mean, kind of similar aside would be the Epstein thing. I've heard about Epstein since I started kind of listening to the Alex Jones stuff, and he was talking about that over 10 years ago. And this is right around before Epstein had his barely slap on the wrist legal action that happened towards him. But people were talking about him and elites and celebrities and business people and presidential and scientists like Bill Gates. All these famous wealthy people were interacting with this guy, and people were saying that they believed that he was part of like some bizarre child predator, weird kind of religious stuff. No one believed that until what, less than 3 years ago now.
Yep.
So
it's been real recent. Right.
So I always tell people, you don't have to believe in every single weird thing, but just investigate. Just look at the weird kind of circumstances, if you want to call it circumstances. But no one believed that story until it broke out. So.
Yep. Absolutely.
Professional level of decorum.
Okay. I want to talk about the pictures. We went to their offices. We interviewed the legal team, as you know. And Attorney Baldwin called the removal of the crime scene photos from his office, his words, a dramatic mistake that had nothing to do with the leak, that he had nothing to do with the leak. Does that in any way bring this issue to an end? Dramatic mistake. He had nothing to do with the leak, and he stands by that. That's his belief.
But there's never an end for our family. His mistake that we live with forever, unless he could get every single photo off the internet, and that's impossible. So yeah, it's definitely a dramatic mistake. He may not have shared those photos, but he left them unattended.
They were his responsibility. It was his responsibility to protect the integrity of all the information, all the discovery that was provided to him. But he didn't. They can keep saying that it was an unfortunate event, but again, it was under his watch. That's where it came from. And he or none of the team have apologized for that. So that kind of tells me you really haven't taken accountability. They want to point it off to somebody else. Well, somebody else may have come in and got it. was still your responsibility to keep that information safe and secure. And they didn't. That's a fact.
Is that something that you'd want to hear as well, one-on-one, to be called to a legal office to be directly apologized to or to ask for forgiveness for that dramatic mistake? What does that look like as well as you try to figure out their story and you try to jive it with yours? Do you want to hear from them directly that, what, we're sorry? What do you want to hear from them, if anything?
Or past that.
You're past that.
We're past that.
Okay.
They had their chance.
A juror spoke to the murder sheet, the podcaster, and to us as well, saying that the jurors wanted to get it right and that it wasn't about sympathy. Did you ever feel, based on that juror speaking out, and it's the only juror who sort of has said something, that they really wanted to do their jobs? As you sat there, and you just talked about that they did ask questions, and I sat there as well, and sometimes those questions, you had to sit back and go, okay, like they really are paying attention. Did you get that sense that everyone was really focused? Or did you get the sense that, gosh, are these folks going to be able to wrap themselves around what we've known for 7 long years?
Well, by all their actions, they were able to do that by all those questions. And your question was based around
that I wanted to gauge that the juror was saying that they wanted to get it right. That juror gave us sort of an insight. We don't know what the juror was thinking. All the jurors and the alternates, right? So that juror sort of gave us an insight on the things. Yes, we know what the outcome is, but just to hear what the jurors were thinking in those moments. I'm just wondering, from your perspective, how does that sort of jive with the seriousness, the largeness of this case?
I think it was the fact that they were really being fact-based and data-driven, if you would, a term I kind of use, and not let sympathy, play into it. Like, hey, let's look at the facts. Let's look at the information, the evidence that's been, presented in front of us. Let's make a decision based on that, not any of the other sympathy items that came up in court. I think my opinion.
Abellis, you asked what news reporter this is with. This is going to be with Fox 59 News. I got it. I wrote down CBS, Indiana Channel 4 is how I found it. We watched that video earlier, and they said that they had this interview and the letter, which we're going to look at after we get through this interview, on their website. So I went to their website, and it's hard for me to see what the website is, but they have the little CBS Indy 4 logo at the top.
They didn't let that weigh in and override any of the evidence that was presented against him.
And I see what you're saying when you ask me the question as I read it out loud. I guess the question for you is, they didn't say, oh, look at these 2 sad grandparents. Let's make them happy by giving them a guilty verdict. The jurors are telling us, you are nice people. You seem to be very nice people in Delphi, but by their own inside look, they didn't care about you. They cared, right? They cared about the evidence. So which kind of often we think that, why wouldn't we go guilty? Look, they're crying or they're sad, right? But the jury's saying, we don't care about you. I mean, they do care in the sense that we'll do their job, but not about how you feel.
I am glad. I am glad she said that, because I wouldn't want a verdict on sympathy. We always wanted a verdict on facts. That's the only way to get justice.
Okay, but the facts were not released in this case. The defense was not even allowed to put up a defense, and you don't want sympathy, but yet at the same time you're really upset and wanting apologies from the defense and from Richard Allen about the leaked photos. Like, I don't know. It's kind of a correlation, if you ask me. I mean,
you can't have it.
contradiction.
Yeah, you can't have it 2 ways. Yeah, exactly. You can't have it 2 ways in the sense that, or they say they don't want an apology from the defense, but they want Richard Allen to apologize. But then it's be like, well, we don't also want the jury to feel sorry for us. We want to make sure that all the evidence was put out. But like me and you and everyone else keeps saying, the evidence wasn't all put out. It was always for the prosecution side. So this interview is kind of a little bit all over the place with at least with some of their answers, in a sense that they feel that they got justice for Abby and Libby, but for the rest of most other people, it just seems not really, a false justice, in my opinion. And I mean, to me, it seems like they're going to either be fighting tooth and nail when, if it does go for retrial, I think they're going to fight tooth and nail. And then I guess we'll see how that goes when they start. Well, then that's going to be interesting. If they have a retrial, will there be another gag if it's Judge Gall again? But if it's like a different judge, will there be another gag and then they can't say nothing, or the defense and prosecution can't say nothing until after that retrial?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question and possibility. SubRosa, I see that you have come in. I don't know if you look, but in the description of this video, I wrote, SubRosa, if you see this, I still love you. Don't be mad. You know, I cover Delphi. I've had this information for a while and haven't put it out because I didn't want to upset you, but I need to discuss it. I hope you'll come back tomorrow. I won't discuss Delphi for a while after today, just so you know. And I told everybody that you feel like Richard Allen is guilty, so to be nice if you came in, just so you know.
Well, yeah, everyone has an opinion. I just, I don't know. I just, like I said, the only thing that you can say, if you believe he did it, it's just his confessions, and then the bullet that was found almost a week later, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
So
13 days at a 45-degree angle. Yeah, there's so much.
And then I guess when you say I was there, okay, I mean, sure. But then there were other people that were there too. But like I said, my whole take is that I just find it hard that I can find someone guilty when it's like just their multiple confessions after they've been eating their own feces and doing other weird stuff.
Yep.
And then being on a powerful
tropic.
Thank you. Drug. But at the same time, the state said, oh, he really wasn't on it, but he kind of was on it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, so he was having psychotic moments, but he kind of wasn't having psychotic moments.
Yeah.
But like I said, I mean, everyone can believe it, to each their own. I just have my take and they have their take. So
you can't have it both ways. You can't have it like he wasn't psychotic when he confessed, but he was psychotic at all these other times, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
Go ahead, love.
Yeah, because I remember, was it the female doctor, or was it the male doctor, the Indian one, that was saying, I think it was both of them were saying that, yeah, he had moments that he was psychotic and then he wasn't. So it's like you can't have it both ways.
Right. And it could be caused by medication, but the medication is going to get built up into your system. So therefore, I would question whether any thought process was coherent at all after the medication had time to build up in your system. Even if he seemed normal, the medication's built up in his system, and I have an issue with it. Bad Girl said justice denied isn't justice served. I agree 100%.
You know, that's the only way that we can feel comfortable with the verdict, is to know that it was fact-based, not feelings. And I feel like, and that goes two ways here, because throughout the trial, the defense tried to make Richard Allen the victim and tried to make the jury feel sorry for him. So again, I'm glad that they did not use sympathy either way.
Yes, great point, because they played that card that he was a victim, showing videos and pictures or clips from where he was housed as a safekeeper. And he actually had more privileges in that area than anybody else being housed there. That part they don't disclose. The defense doesn't want to disclose that.
And the other thing is, go ahead.
So when you're convicted of a major crime like this, you're not sent to a vacation resort to await trial. Because obviously there's been enough evidence collected by the investigative team.
Well, he must have got something mixed up because you're not supposed to. Most people don't be sent to prison before the trial anyway. I've never heard of that. Why is not? See, this is when we get angry. How come Stinky Stearns? That's I almost cursed. I was like that mother effer. Why is he not in prison for his own fucking safety? He's a child killer. Why is he not in prison? Why is he in jail? Why is Richard Allen the only other person I can think of in my 33 years of being alive on this earth? If before they were convicted of a crime, why were they sent to the worst prisons in the freaking state? But Stinky Stearns isn't, and he's this alleged child killer. Why is he not in a prison before his trial?
Yeah, I have been, as we know, I've had a past. When I went to county jail for the small little crimes I committed, I had been in there with girls that were 4 years, 6 years waiting to go to trial. You don't go to prison until you get your sentence and know how long you're going to be locked up. Like, it's not normal for people to be sent off to prison. Obviously, county jail, prison, any kind of adult timeout or confinement system is not going to be a resort. The closest thing to a resort you get is federal prison. But again, that's prison after you've been convicted of a federal crime. Of course, it's not supposed to be a resort, but it's also not supposed to be what he had to endure for anybody. Guilty, innocent, convicted, not convicted, on the death row. I mean, the way he was treated was absolutely deplorable and despicable. And then you hear that document that I read at the beginning of this live where they stated that he's treated better than other inmates at Westville. And I'm like, I mean, damn, somebody needs to go in there and do something. If he's treated better than others, I'm genuinely concerned. Carolina said, I respect everyone's opinion, but I have to agree with the victim's family. That is what I've been saying. They made Richard Allen seem like he was the victim. In reality, I honestly don't think he is. And that's cool. And I understand that. And I respect that. And you're welcome to have your opinion. Like I said, I'd like for us all to share our thoughts and opinions. And I can see you saying that, right? Like I at the same time, Abby and Libby are the victims that we're trying to seek justice for. But my stance on that is if we are prosecuting the wrong man, then we have in turn made 3 victims instead of the 2 that are most important.
Right. And then, I guess my thing I always say to people is just, have you heard in your years of being existing on this earth, any other case where an alleged, not just a killer, but a child killer, children killers are put into prison before their sentence and then put in one of the worst prisons in the state? Because then if I committed a crime, should I go to one of the worst prisons and wait for my trial? If I was a child killer?
Right.
I mean, I'm just saying, I've never heard of a child killer in all the cases I've been around and hearing. What just name it. Just name another child killer that was sent to a prison before their trial. Just name. That's all I want to know.
It's unheard of. It's unheard of.
Just surprised. I mean, for me, it's like I'm not gonna get angry or whatever. I'm just, well, I am getting a little bit sick because like it just to me doesn't make sense. Like let's say if I was a child killer, would you guys in the chat, would you want me as a male child killer to go to a male prison and one of the worst ones in the state where I'm in Georgia, which is Fulton County? Well, that's the jail, but I forgot which jail here in Georgia. Prison is one of the worst ones. But anyway, just send me to one of the worst prisons in Georgia until my trial happens a year or 2 or 3 years later, and then be like, well, you've been found guilty, so you're going back to the same prison. But I should have been in jail, shouldn't I?
Yeah, that's how it goes. You sit in county. Like I said, I was in county with girls that had murdered their children, that were in their waiting trial 4, 5, 6 years. Some girl, I remember a girl that had been had a lab and was doing shake and bake. I'm sure you know what that is. I'm not going to say what it is.
Right.
But she had been in there for about 7 years waiting to go to trial because there had been things that happened in her case that prolonged the trial. She was sitting in there for 7 years. I mean, it's unheard of. You don't go to prison and then go back to prison once you're found guilty. It's just, it's not, it's unheard of.
Well, yeah, because I guess that's the one thing I guess that kind of gets me a little upset. It's like I just never heard of, and I don't know Richard Allen. He's some guy that lives in Indiana. I don't know him personally, but if I was that, I'm just asking for chat. If I was a child killer, a male child killer, would you think it'll be fair for me to be in one of the worst prisons or whatever in the state of Georgia and take years until my trial happens? So then technically I already have the prison experience, but I haven't been convicted of the crime. Do you think
Right.
that'd be fair for me? That's
I
what I
don't
want to
think-
know.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think so. Oh, I said it's snowing here too. I was talking to Little Red who said they were cold. It's snowing here. I don't know if it's snowing where you are, but it's really cold here too. It just, yeah, I don't agree.
That they think that this is the guy. The prosecutor reviews the information and thinks it's the guy, and then they go to a judge to be able to make an arrest. So he was put into a safekeeping environment because he probably wouldn't have been safe at a local jail because of how many people know about this. And let's face it, when you do crimes against children, you're definitely not favored very much in our prison and jail system.
The juror went on to say in the interview with Murder Sheet and sharing with Fox
No, you're
59
good.
that
I wanted to interrupt too. You go ahead, love.
So I've actually learned that it's kind of a myth slash a stereotype, but not all child predators get what's coming to them when they go to prison. I actually looked at the statistics. A lot of them are usually separated. Now they could get certain things happen to them, but a lot of them don't get the karmatic justice that we think. I still think they deserve to be in jail, in prison, you know, when they're found convicted and all that, but a lot of them don't get abused. Let's just say that if they go to prison, some do, but not a lot of them. So that I was just gonna take that point. Like, yeah, even if he was a child killer, a lot of them don't get prison justice. Let's just say that. Not all the time.
Right. They're kept in safekeeping because since they found out basically that, general population is not very fond of child killers, they or child rapists, that, they usually keep them in segregated areas, and they're housed
Right.
with people like themselves.
Mela
Which-
was right.
Which sucks for karmatic justice, like you said, but it does. Being in a population, like being around other people, we are social creatures. We need that social interaction. So being kept away from people and in solitary, it's not healthy either. So they are kind of getting justice in that aspect because
True.
I'm gonna tell you, it's horrible because when I went in, I was on substances, and they had to keep me in medical one time because I was just so bad. And in medical, you have a hospital bed, which is nicer, but there's nothing. There's no TV, there's no books, there's no other people. You can't be around other people because you could possibly be sick. And it was the worst because it's like every single minute seems like an hour. And they're sitting there like going through that all day. So it is kind of karmatic justice in that sense. I
Yeah.
think they're allowed to have books, but yeah, it's better when you're around other people.
I would go crazy. Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Just to be real. If I was in solitary for months on end, I would go crazy.
Yeah. And most people do.
that the prosecutor's closing arguments had an impact when he said specifically to the jury pool, Libby, his words, Libby wanted to help police solve crimes. The juror says that the jury pool thought that really resonated with it, that your granddaughter, because she wanted to help police solve crimes when she held up that cell phone and grabbed that image that really helped in this case, that was part of the pivotal thing that helped them make a decision.
That makes me feel good.
Yeah, I'm glad that Libby was able to help.
Mike, you told the court in addressing the convicted killer, you said, "Your act of murder has tested my faith. I am still not ready to provide forgiveness, but when I am, it will be for my own faith and conscience and not yours."
Still feel that way today.
Becky, this family continues to move forward. New in-laws, new babies on the way, new dreams, new people. You went on to say in your statement, quote, "Not enough words in our language that begins to paint the picture of the grief we've lived with each and every day. Knowing that this grief has no end."
Bazard, I'm going to mute you just while you're walking or getting in your car, whatever it is you got going on.
Yeah, I'm driving. I'll mute.
Okay. Hold on, y'all. Hold on just a minute.
There's no bottom to this. How do you function? Because in the sense of, I know you're functioning, so I get it. But how are you making it work? Because you are still loving your family, you're still doing things, you're still moving forward, and you're trying to do the best possible. People are watching. So how do you move forward?
You don't have a choice. You have to eventually. You can't live in that day forever. The rest of our family deserves us to move forward. We lost out in the last 8 years. We've lost out on so much of our other grandchildren's lives.
I know this case gets a lot of people's emotions, but we got to try to just make sure you're respectful and kind in chat, please, and thank you.
We have made a conscious decision that we have to take that back. We have to move forward for the kids' sakes, for the new grandbabies, for them, and because they shouldn't suffer for what has happened. Not that Libby will ever be forgotten, because Libby is included in every single thing that we do still today. And at least we're finally getting to the point that we can celebrate the life that Libby lived and not only mourn that she died. So we incorporate all the good that was Libby into the new babies and the things that we do now.
As a family, you guys connected went to Crime Con, you went on talk shows. There wasn't anything that you didn't do in those early days. But when it came to the Golden State Killer, for example, investigation, that took 30 years to solve. This also could have been a waiting game. And you feared that in the early days. This could have gone forever. Former State Police Superintendent Doug Carter and current State Police Detective Jerry Holman always reminded you that this was not a cold case, even though it felt like things were just not happening in the public view. What made the difference? What was the thing that made this work? Because you saw the Golden State Killer story. You talked to those family members. They told you, you could be waiting forever. You may die before you find out. So what was the difference in this case?
I believe it was the level of commitment from the investigative team. Doug Carter specifically, along with Jerry Holman, Tobe Lesenby, Tony Liggett. I mean, I don't want, if I start naming everybody, I'm going to leave them out. They were so highly committed to this. And they knew, I believe, to some level, the fact that we were able to put ourselves out there essentially for 5 years, almost nonstop, talking to anybody, going to shows, going to what you mentioned, right? We go on TV shows, talk shows, doing interviews with reporters. Our job was to keep the information out there till we found this killer. We worked hard at that, and we gave up a lot for 5 years till we finally got to the arrest.
A lot happened in this kitchen.
Yes, it did.
I remember there was a map right here, a board. You were keeping track of where every poster was being sent across the country.
Yes, we made it with the help of so many people
Right.
from Facebook, there was a flyer sent to every sheriff's department in every county of the U.S.
Everyone.
So
That is amazing. Like, that is really amazing, and I'm glad to hear that was done, and that they were able to get together with people on Facebook like that and send flyers. She said to every police station across the United States. Like, that is amazing. I wish we could do that for all the missing children, for everybody and that's going through things like this, that's absolutely amazing.
So, with the help of so many people, we were able to keep it out there.
Were you ever overwhelmed by the international response? Because this was just not a Carroll County thing or an Indiana thing, right? At some point, this really got out of control, in the sense that you were getting not only correspondence, but people around the podcast, and they were just fascinated, right or wrong, with the story.
Well, first off, we didn't know any different. This is our first time ever being through anything like this. We never followed true crime. We never followed this. We didn't know what was normal. We didn't know if this was normal or not. Had no clue. We just had to deal with it.
Our job was to keep it out there.
But you did. And so when I'm taking it one step further, were you ever surprised with the overwhelming interest?
So they said, that they didn't understand, they didn't know if this was normal. They didn't know if this is how things went. It was the first time they went through this. So to be fair, maybe they feel like the way the trial went was normal and that there was nothing wrong with it, because they've never experienced anything like that before. To be fair.
From people around the world
Oh, yes.
that are nowhere near Carroll County,
Yes.
who are like saying to you, whether it's France or Australia, saying, hey, what's happening to Abby and Libby? That had to be like, you're calling from where?
Bazard, you're good. I'm sorry your connection was going out, but I do appreciate you coming up and sharing your thoughts, opinions, and speculations. I really enjoyed it. And I hope you have a good day, sweetheart. BH said, why, if they believe some confessions, don't they don't believe all of them? And that's a good question. It's like I pointed out earlier when I said, we believe Ron Logan could have done this, or Brad Holder could have done this, or Keegan Klein could have been responsible, or in some aspects, right? And, again, to be fair, across the board, what makes us believe that they did it as opposed to Richard Allen? Because we could say, like BH just said, why do we believe everybody but Richard Allen? We could look at it the same way as people who believe Richard Allen did this. Why? If they believed Richard Allen did it, then why are they going to believe Brad Holder or Ron Logan did it? And somebody pointed out the evidence that was mentioned, and we could say that about all of it. We could say that about what Richard Allen knew. Yes, we can say that, it could have been tainted. He did confess, but he was on a Halidol. So, I can see it from all aspects and respect it from all aspects. And I think that this it's not a game. It's Abby and Libby's life, but this argument is a better word, will be had until the end of time, or until, I don't know how long, because even if somebody else is found convicted and proven to be guilty, would we still question that as well?
I think a lot of that has stemmed from the way that we approached how we were going to deal with this, meaning we're going to work with law enforcement. We made that decision early on, and we're going to work with the media, because media has a much louder voice than me standing up on the square in Delphi and yelling out that I need somebody to look for this guy and hanging posters. And we made a conscious decision. That's how we're going to walk through this. We're going to stick, walk hand in hand, if you would, with law enforcement and the investigative team. So I think that made a difference, of how other people perceive this and how it caught so much other attention.
I like what Abella said. Abella said, the way I see it, give him another trial, start from scratch. If he's guilty, he'll be found guilty again. If he's not, then he'll be found innocent. None of what happened serves justice for Abby and Libby, in my opinion. Right. If I would say the same thing, give him another trial with a different judge, and see if the same outcome was, see if the outcome was the same. Let the defense actually enter motions and see if the outcome would be the same. And then if the outcome would be the same, then, you know, there you have it. He's had 2 trials. That's it. That's all. SubRosa, I'm sorry that you felt strongly enough to leave. Like I said in the description box, I know you feel very strongly about this case, and I respect you, and, you know, I got love for you. So hopefully I'll see you again.
Naturally.
But you give up a lot of your privacy by doing all right. I mean, I've been in your lives now for 8 years. I know that I've been that guy.
The girls was worth it.
They deserve nothing less.
We needed to find their killer.
Every day in our state, there's another empty chair for a Hoosier family because of violence, some kind of violence. You have been through one of the most horrific experiences that any family can go through. You are part of that family of people who have to deal with grief. Based on what you have been through, what do you tell a parent, a loved one, about how these life-changing situations, how do you manage it? How do you keep it in control? How do you not let it tear you apart so that you can continue to live? Based on what you've lived through, right? Because only you can talk about this topic because you've lived it.
Lean on your family. We've been fortunate enough that we have a large family and a very good support system, because there's days that you want to scream, you want to, you know, you are frustrated, you are having a bad time. You lean on another family member or a close friend or somebody that you can talk to. Don't keep it inside of you. I think that I deal best if I can talk to somebody.
I would agree with everything she said, and we have a wonderful community here. Absolutely stellar. They have lifted us up and helped carry us through this whole thing from day one. I just can't say enough, you know, from meeting somebody, you know, on the sidewalk in town or at a food establishment or whatever. The support has just been stellar.
And as the legal briefings now, a rush of legal briefings in recent days to correct errors, and pictures are coming out, and the things that we saw in the courtroom are now entering the public discussion, and it's coming all back again, right? How are you preparing for the appeals journey?
I'm not. Just like I kind of just turned it over to God and said, I have to trust that the people will see, that they will see the truth, and they will be able to go through all the muck, everything thrown out there, the appeals courts, whatever, that they see the truth, and that they will rule accordingly. I can't, it's taken enough of my life, and these appeals can go on for years and years. I refuse to let it control my life anymore. I'm turning this over to God and letting, to me, I don't believe that the appeals are going to go anywhere, and I'm going on with life.
Echo.
Pretty much an echo on that. I'm always a little more skeptical on that front. However, whatever happens, Richard Allen's confessed to this. He knew things specific about the crime that nobody else knew except for Abby and Libby. And of course, they're not here today to talk about it. He will always be guilty to me, no matter what kind of appeal. If they try to get off on some technicality or something, doesn't change the fact that he killed our girls.
Detective Holman told me that
It's hard because I want to be as respectful as I possibly can, because I understand how they feel and how they feel like he did it. And I try to be respectful. I I mean, thinking about their granddaughters are deceased and putting myself in their shoes, and the police are telling me that this man did it, and I just want justice for my grandchildren. I don't know if I could allow myself to think that he wasn't innocent, or that somebody else could be guilty of this and they're still on the outside, and my granddaughter, my family had not received justice. It would be hard to even allow yourself to think that. Like, it would just make it even worse. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I have to be respectful. Hunter's Moon said, I've always had a problem with circumstantial evidence convictions. When growing up, I was told not to be a victim of circumstances. Always know your surroundings. And I really like that. That's a really good way to put things. Carolina said, no one on God's green earth should ever be sent to prison before a conviction, period. But that isn't the case. On point, just saying. I can understand that. Great advice, says Abellis. Always be aware of your surroundings and always hold your head high and look people in the eye. Good point. Bazard, thank you for the support. I really appreciate that, sweetheart. Bazard said, in the end, we want actual justice for all victims of crimes, and that the actual criminals get their just dues. Why do we have innocent people in jail? Great point. Great point. That's the end. Like, at the end, we just want justice for everybody, and we don't want to create more victims than the two most important victims, which are Abby and Libby. Carolina said, boom, yes, that's exactly what I've been saying. Yep. It's hard. I mean, yeah, you can't let yourself think that an innocent man is behind jail and that the people who killed members of your family are still out there. So I get it.
It doesn't matter. He's not retiring yet. He's still a young fella. But he told me that it doesn't really matter as far as he's concerned, that he will stick with this every step of the way until his last breath. That whether he decides to retire or do something different in his life, that he's not giving up on this. Do you see it the same way, that no matter whatever's being filed or whatever's happening, that this is your charge to make sure that these girls' names are held at a high level?
Yes.
Yeah. We'll definitely stay engaged with that. But this whole process has taken so much away from us and our family that we've also made a conscious decision that we're not going to allow that anymore. Our priority is going to shift back to our family.
And one thing that your family does is the Memorial Park, which really is a beacon to the legacy of the girls. What's the latest on that project? I know that every year when you drive by the park, it gets better and better and better. So in 2025, where do you hope that park project goes?
Right now, we're working on trying to get a sign to memorialize the girls, as well as kind of signify the park. There's a small sign down there that I built, 7-8 years ago out here in my shop. So it's time for a little better recognition on that. So that's something we're working on, trying to.
Okay, I'm coming back. I saw Carolina said, saying this for the third time. When I'm watching this, I have to go on a different page, so I'm sorry if I've been missing your comments, sweetheart. Carolina said, repeating this for the third time, I'll say this. Richard Allen had fantasies about committing a crime of this nature. No one coerced Richard Allen off having those sick fantasies. So I haven't heard that. You'd have to let me know where you found that. It's hard, because if you say it's from the psychologist that spoke to him, the psychologist was a fangirl, and they think that's how he possibly knew about the white van that was there, but then wasn't there because the guy was doing ATM machine checks and things like that at the time. So if I could verify that from somebody else other than the psychologist or anybody to do with the prison system, then yeah, that would be an avenue to definitely look down and could possibly change my mind. But if it's from somebody in the prison system after he was on Halidol and all the fake, quote unquote, fake confessions happened, I might have an issue with it. But I mean, no, nobody's blocked you. Nobody blocked you, sweetheart. Oh, you saying somebody would. Okay. But again, I mean, it's hard because I could do that. Like, I could do this and people are going to do this to pick apart what they see. Like, I'm biased. I think Richard Allen's guilty, right? So I'm afraid that you could hit me with this evidence and that evidence and all of these things showing that he's guilty, but I'm going to pick it apart because in my heart, I feel like Richard Allen's innocent, and people do that. So I question, like, anything you show me, I might not believe, unfortunately, because people are biased in that aspect. You know what I mean? And I try not to be, but I can't help it to an extent.
Trying to find some grants and some monies to get that done. Because the park is fully self-funded. We make money only off of concession sales or whatever events we hold down there. That's we don't receive any monies subsidized otherwise.
You work that property with the family of Abby, so it's a multi-family situation. You take care of the property, you mow the property. The Erskines are out there mowing in the summer. You guys mow as well. You have found a rock with a heart one year, which sent chills up your. I remember the rock.
That was Diane.
That was Diane who, right? When you're out there, what do you see? I mean, because it is now full of life. The amphitheater, you have a number of softball events. So people are doing the very thing that the girls wanted to do. They wanted to play softball going into high school. When you walk those grounds, when you're out there, is that sort of your woosah place? Is that where you just go, even though I know you have a big barn with a lot of stuff out there, but is that your place where you just relax and go, you know what? This is the good times for us. I don't know. What do you see out there?
To me, it's when we're out there and we have one of these big tournament events and, hundreds and hundreds of kids are there and all the parents, it just brings everything to life. You hear kids chanting their songs and stuff.
Please make sure to be respectful of everybody in chat.
In the dugouts and yelling and screaming and home runs getting hit and people going, that's pleasant. It's very pleasant.
What more? How can people, right? People are always looking for ways to connect. So how can people support the legacy of Abby and Libby moving forward? What can they do as they look for ways to connect with you? How can they help you with that project, if at all?
You can certainly attend any of the events. We have a number of summer concert series, and it's free. I mean, it's a free will. If you want to donate, that's fine. We also have a website that if people wanted to donate and help us continue to grow this park, they can certainly go there.
They also have, we have memorial bricks that you can buy for a loved one or somebody, and for any reason, one that passed away, one you just want to recognize, or people getting married or whatever. The memorial park isn't just for the girls; it's for the people, and we do have pavers in front of the amphitheater that people have bought, and a little bit of the proceeds from that goes to the park. But if they would like to buy a brick for somebody in their family to be memorialized, they could also do that.
I think that's really sweet. I've seen bricks like that around different places. And I think that's a really sweet thing to do. For pit bulls across America. I like your name.
I know that you folks want a break from all of this, but the break is impossible, as you know. In my last two questions, this week already, we'll mark a day, and every day on the calendar will be that day. This year, how do you hope to spend that day or that moment? And I know that every day will hopefully get easier for you, but on this occasion, on the 13th and 14th of February, what does that look like for this family?
It'll probably be the first time that I've chosen to work that day. I've always taken that day off.
Sorry, y'all.
I was telling her the other day that I'm getting meeting requests and different things coming in through work. And I'm like, all right, do I accept these meetings or do I take the day off? And I'm like, okay, I think it's time. This time I'm gonna work that day.
For you, Becky?
I'll go visit Libby.
Carolina said, I just want to say, hold on. I just want to say thank you to everyone, but I'm having a pacemaker inserted tomorrow, and I have to go to my consultation appointment. Please remember me. My procedure's at 9 a.m. Oh, I'll say a prayer for you, sweetheart. Let us know that you're okay. I'm sorry you're going through that. If y'all don't mind, say a prayer for Carolina. I hope that everything goes good. I hope that you're okay. And I'll be praying for you. And I hope that I'm sure everything will. My mom has one in her chest, and she's done really good with it. So I'm sure everything will be okay.
It'll probably be a quiet day. We don't usually go any place or do much during those couple of days because it's tough, because you just don't know when you're going to break down crying. But we can't make it. We have decided we can't make it a sad day because we have little grandbabies that are going to be getting bigger and they don't understand. They're going to go to school and have Valentine's parties, and they're not going to understand why we don't do that, and we're sad. So we have to figure out a way to make it normal.
But you're ready for all this to be over.
Yes.
You're ready for me to go away, in a good way.
In a good way.
It's time.
Yeah.
It's time. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay.
We want to take our lives back.
Yeah.
We want to take our lives back. And to her point on, we really haven't celebrated Valentine's Day. Not that I don't love her and she doesn't deserve a box of chocolates or a dozen roses, but it just hasn't been a day of celebration for us. And what she said, we made a conscious decision. We actually talked about it. Said, you know what? We have to do this for the rest of our family, right?
I mean, I understand that, not wanting the little kids to know what happened. I have respect for that. Snaggle Mama says, Carolina will be thinking of you. We may have different views, but you're a good person. Wish you all the best in a speedy recovery. Thank you. Oh yeah, well, I'm a convicted criminal as well. But pit bulls, I don't feel like Richard Allen is guilty. I just try to be respectful of, because at the end of the day, they did lose their grandchildren, and like I was saying earlier, it would be hard to be in a place of thinking that the person that has been prosecuted and convicted of murdering your grandchildren is not the actual person. Like, I don't know if I could allow myself to think that if it was my family. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I could handle knowing that somebody was convicted of this crime and question whether they're the right person or not, question whether the police are corrupt, and question whether I've got justice for my family, or if there's a crazed killer still on the loose. So I understand their perspective, and I try to be respectful because they're victims too. But we're almost done with this interview, and we're going to go over after that. I'm going to read the letter that I got printed out from Ricci Davis talking about Ron Logan's confession. He wrote a letter to the news, and we're going to read that. I'm going to attempt to read it, and then we'll go for the day.
Little kids, they take little cards to school, little Valentines, and share, and we want to make sure that they get experience that. That's the right thing.
And so I want to end this interview on the upswing. My last question, which is an observation. When we spoke during the sentencing, it was around the holidays. And I asked you what you folks were going to do for the holidays. And I don't want you to name the facility, but I was even more impressed with the fact that since this tragedy, that you as a family come together, and on a specific day you go and help people less fortunate than yourselves at a nursing home facility in the region. Mm-hmm. How critical is that this family, who has faced the depths of loss, of tragedy, so publicly, the press asking you questions every year, how do you feel? But nonetheless, you have moved forward to empower other people, to make other people who may be broken whole. I think it says a lot about your family that people may not know. So I'm gonna let you finish off the set. Why do you think it's so important to help other people? That's what you're doing.
I don't look at it as helping them as much as what they gave us. They allowed us to come in there on a hard day, and they loved us. So I don't look at it as us helping them. I really don't. We're glad to, and doing that was something that we had always said we were going to do, because our grandkids are kind of spoiled, and we've always tried to teach them
All our
how
kids
to
are spoiled.
give, and so that was always a thing that we need to help others, and we had always said we were going to do that, and we had never gotten the chance yet. And Libby was so looking forward to that. That was one of the things that we made sure we did the very next year, because we knew that was something Libby really wanted to do. And we really started that to honor her. But in reality, they gave us so much.
And Mike, you get the last word.
Yes, it is. We look forward to that event every year, and nobody in our family minds getting up on Christmas morning and heading to that facility to fix a Christmas dinner for all these people. They all show up. Sometimes and they go and sit with the residents and enjoy lunch with them, with everybody. And it's neat to see. It is neat to see from, you want to call it from the parents' perspective, watching all of our kids and grandkids and everybody get involved and help and serve and just going in, sitting with folks and just having a good time. I don't know if proud is the right word, but it's very fulfilling, for us as a family to be able to do that.
Mike and Becky Patty, thank you.
Mm-hmm. But I do want to go back to something real quick.
You're the boss. You're always the boss.
When you talked about the Golden State Killer family,
yes, ma'am,
you realize they were one of them that told us, don't ever give up hope. They gave us the will to, no matter how long it takes. They're the ones that told us, no matter how long it takes, you never give up.
Mm-hmm.
Don't ever stop fighting.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were many times that we looked at each other and thought, boy, this could go on for a long, long time. We had no clue. But if they could do it for 30 years, so can we. So those people showed us strength and showed us what might be and told us, don't ever give up.
Thank you.
All right, so that's their interview. Now we're going to go back to this letter. I was able to get it printed out. I'm going to do my best to get it pulled up on screen so that you guys can see it. Excuse me, while I read it. Actually, I think I have it downloaded, so let's go there instead because it'll probably work better. Hold on just a minute. Okay. I will put this on my Discord. It will obviously have the watermark. But you can get it by going to the website that I went to in the beginning of this live where they said it was at. It's loading. Let me pull it up. After this, I obviously have to go. So remember, this is the letter written by Ricci Davis, who said that Ron Logan confessed to him in prison. He wrote this letter because the jail or prison said that they couldn't let the interview come in, they couldn't let the news come and interview this guy because of safety reasons. Hold on. Okay, there we go. All right, so I've got it on the screen. I'm going to do my best to read it. It says Fox 59 News, Dear Max Lewis, news reporter and publishers. This is regarding the missed interview to the Delphi murders by Ron Logan at the Indiana Correction Facility. I am so sorry of the additional blocks of my continued effort of being able to speak of this. It has been a rough road of fighting against suspicious behavior of Carroll County, questioning ahead reporting that I simply failed a polygraph. To many, that would sound of legitimate reasoning to disregard, and the DA something of dishonesty, with reckless regard of truth himself, and knowing my information will cause rumors by the community demanded, in addition to integrity within the trust of bringing forward this case. Toe and Richard Allen. Although I am the farthest fan of people who commit certain types of crimes, best to argue to allow a sex offender walk right out of prison on your watch, with a promise that if you are elected into office, you would do so. I was told by Ron Logan in advance that Nicholas McLeland told family members of Logan's and Ron Logan, that told a couple family members of Logan's and Ron Logan. Let me scroll down. Himself, quote, hold on, I gotta turn my light on because it's dark in here and that's making it harder to see. Okay. Quote, if I am elected, I will let Ron Logan out. I don't believe he committed that crime. McLeland was referred as a longtime family friend and will have his back. Believe Ron Logan was not joking either. When the investigation was sent, I am the one treated as I done something wrong. I was requested to be placed on a polygraph. It was made all about my motive / media attention. It was not about MOMABIE. I am a man who has kids myself and felt deeply for them baby girls. I felt deeply for them baby girls and families. I was asked to take the important, most significant facts, placing into less than 2 paragraphs, be writing them on paper, seen on the news a couple of months ago. But I asked, quote, if I've been speaking to Ron Logan for months, how could I limit it within sentences, end quote. I was just told to do the best I could. In return, I did. Before I remembered that, I was told that I could be charged with perjury and asked if I wrote truthfully. It was ambiguous to ask because the information Logan said truthfully, I did not have such answer, but no one would answer, just informed. Hold on. I'm trying to read it the best I can. Oh my gosh. I hate when it does this. Okay. I was told that I could be charged with perjury. It was ambiguous to ask because was the information. Logan said, truthfully, I did not have such answers, but I know I would. I know I was. No one would answer, just informed what to do. The best I could. All I watched was talk like this word, mean. I was so upset. I just offered to give Ma a recording. Okay. Recording device, and under full observation, they will have a recorded confession by Ron Logan. I was told by Mr. Davis it is okay. It isn't necessary, really. This can not be determined by McLeland something, as the entire setting was fully recorded by video. It is undisputed facts that he can make. Of course, he has made efforts to silence my genuine efforts. It gets worse. Oh, I don't know where the translated copy is. I need the translated copy because I'm trying, by God. But we've only got the rest of this page and then one more. I don't, all right, I'm going to continue trying. If y'all know where the translated copy is, definitely go check it out. Or you can laugh at me fumble over this. It gets worse. While Richard Allen was about to go on trial once again, I attempted to notify the three who were involved once more. There were facts and evidence to lead them to doubt he would not speak to me, since it related to Logan. Not me, better not 2 or 3, but 7 letters before he convicted an innocent man. I first believed Richard Allen possibly had his hand in it. I lost my spot. However, the same evidence that it like cut part of it off. Hold on. Hand in it. However, the same evidence that I previously reported, he taken the same before the jury, making the case against another man with a straight face. I realigned them all. I was told by Ron Logan was something after all. And secondly, Richard Allen was not a guilty man. After all this, left to unsomething men, and now back to 3 uncharged again. McLeland knew this, as family communicated that the letters were passed on to McLeland. After Richard Allen's conviction, McLeland got on TV live, receiving his money pats on his back, and told the families of the girls and community he has not been aware of any other reports, as that was the first question by the media. I'm not asking to be believed. I'm asking for people to ask questions, follow the evidence, and let the poor victims have justice, as well as a jury settle Richard Allen's jury with all of the facts. Settle Richard Allen's jury with all of the facts, not disproported by a DA. Cover-ups. This is what McLeland did not want heard. My only question is, McLeland, can you sleep at night? But can you really, though? P.S. Pray for them girls and families. Free the innocent. Seek the guilty and stand for true justice for all, good and bad. Ricci Davis. Now, I'm sure, like you were saying, I botched the hell out of that, but I did my best. Y'all can see it on the screen, so y'all can pause it and read it yourselves. I did attempt. I tried real hard. Yeah, I homeschool and I teach my kids cursive, but that cursive is like, I felt like I just tried to read the Constitution, y'all. Who the heck is Captain Howdy? That's a reference. I think it was a show in the 50s. Angie said, but do we trust him in this letter? Good point. Good point. She found the letter, but no translation. All right, y'all. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I have got to go. I've got so much to do. The hubby is home today because it was freezing, and he can't work when it's freezing because they have to run water all the time to keep the dust down. So I'm going to go cook. I'm going to try to go to the store real quick if I can. And if not, I guess I won't. Hio said, no, he was on Delphi. YouTube creator apparently took his own life, but I never watched him. Oh, okay. Jennifer Hobbs said, you did good. If you read the translated, though, it's easier to fill him out. Okay. I'll look for it and see if I can maybe post it on my community wall. Thank you guys for being here. Cara said, Linda Blair called her friend who she was talking to on the Ouija board Captain Howdy. Oh, wow. Bazzer said Captain Howdy is also a reference to a Dean Snyder horror film. That might be what I'm thinking about. All right. I love y'all. I hope y'all have a good day. Hey, Mandy Lorian. Good to see you. I hope y'all have a good day. Stay safe out there. Kiss the babies. Tell everybody you love them. Pray for Carolina and the people of the plane crash and everybody else in the world going through some mess right now. I will see y'all tomorrow. Working on the videos to get them edited about the documents in the Stearns case, but one of them is an hour and 53 minutes. The other one's 28 minutes, and I've almost got that one done. I haven't decided if I'm going to put them both together yet when I put them out, or put them out separately as a 28-minute video and then an hour-and-a-half-minute video. So anyway, be on the lookout for that. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Love y'all. Stay safe. Bye.